I don't plan on jumping or anything, so there's that. I think we're good. We're going to need one more glass, though, since
we got 5.
Michael's
I just got one.
Oh, right on. See,
I'm on it.
You on it, bro?
I'm on it.
Should we do this?
Always.
We're recording, right?
We are. Is yours recording?
Mine's recording.
I'm recording. You guys
This
recording?
is all new. We might walk out of here and not
Always
have a show.
recording.
I mean, that happens.
Always be closing.
ABC. Always be closing. ABC.
Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, promotional products and design. They cover your brand bumper to bumper with graphic design, promo products, and print. See what Dire Oil Graphics can build for you at direoil.com. That's DYEROIL.com.
Welcome to Beers with Nigel. I'm
right.
Nigel.
Thanks,
That's
guys.
Nick.
I'm that other guy.
We're on the road again. Stockyards Brewing.
It's good to be on the road.
It's your first time here.
It is. It is.
This is your first time here?
My first time in here.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't get out of
Blasphemous.
something else.
Yeah. What's your
I like to
address?
drive.
Next time we'll just show up with ski masks on and get you out.
He would like that.
It's like it's a little old school,
Likes
little
the rough
kidnap.
stuff.
Nice.
So welcome to the show, Greg, Michael, Micah. Appreciate you guys coming on. We've been talking about this for God knows how many years now.
Yeah.
Years.
We've been doing
Yeah.
this for 3 years, and you and I have talked.
Yeah.
We've emailed.
Yeah.
I've seen you out in the wild. I was like, we need to do a podcast one of these days. Finally
Yeah.
here.
And now we're here. After we almost did it a week ago, right?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. We like
So,
to.
we do have a couple rules.
We play hard to get a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, we are.
We have a couple rules on this show, right? We have beer, so we got that one covered. If you burp, lean into it. Just burp. You know what I'm saying?
Like-
'Cause we like to judge the burps.
Own it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you happen to use colorful language, that's fine. You guys like to play nicely together, so if you're going to talk, you're going to have to pass me the mic. So here we are.
Project.
Mic to mic. Project. Okay.
Yeah.
I can
We
work
told
on
you
that.
to project. So,
Micah won't have any problems. He's good at that.
well, let's start with you, Micah.
That's supposed to be.
No, you're good on the microphone.
I was
Let's talk
projecting
about
too much.
let's talk about
no.
Stockyards Brewing. Tell us the history. How long you guys have been around?
Well, actually, Greg is majority founder. He was the guy with the idea. We had a mutual friend that kept bothering me to meet his buddy who had this idea to open a brewery. And at that time, there were a lot of people trying to open breweries, and I was kind of like, I'm not going to do any more free consulting. You know, everybody's got a friend who's trying to open a brewery, and so I kind of brushed it off a few times. But our buddy Eric was really persistent, and eventually I was like, yeah, let's set it up. And to be honest, at first I was like, you're gonna open a brewery in an old steakhouse? I was like, I don't know. And I hadn't been in the Golden Ox since I was like a little kid. So I had no real memory of it, and I was a little skeptical at first, and then once I got involved, and I originally came on as a consultant, and once I got involved and saw what was going on down here, I was like, man, this is going to be a special place.
Yeah.
We're going to do special things.
Yeah, I'm with
for
you.
sure.
I hadn't been in since before Oxen reopened.
Yeah,
Sure.
So it's been a couple iterations ago.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the West Bottoms has perpetually been, the next thing in
Right.
Kansas City. So
For the last 30,
30, 40 years.
Yeah. Since the cows left, really, it's been
Yeah.
kind of the West Bottoms are going to be the spot. And, the neighborhood's cool. It's got its own feel. All the people down here are really great and love to stick around and love to support the neighborhood. So it was really a cool space to walk into and immediately have the sort of neighborhood support that you wanted to see. We've got the Lucky Boys crew across the street.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
The Lucky Boys kids, man.
They have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Well, you've got housing down here too. So now you've got
Yeah, I mean,
people
when we
that this
moved
is home.
in,
That was a parking lot.
yeah.
Remember
so
that?
there were
Yeah.
11 legal residential units in the West Bottoms when we moved in 2016, and now there's more than 500.
Yeah.
So it's the neighborhood's changed quite a bit in 7 years, and it's brought a lot more residential down here, which is what the neighborhood needs. You need that walking traffic, and you need people coming down all the time. Now if we can get, I'd love to see like a Quick Trip or something down here, just
Yeah.
for hot dogs alone.
Yeah.
But some kind of convenience
the
store
man
down
loves
here
his
for
hot
everybody.
Wasn't there a store
But there
across
used
the
to be
street?
a hot dog joint here like 10 years ago.
Frank's.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember Frank's.
Yeah. Grimm's Tattoo Shop just moved in across the street
Okay.
from Westport after their troubles in Westport. We didn't, but Rockstar Burgers got rid of itself.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing.
I was telling Nick about that.
I totally forgot
for a
that
news
story.
guy, he knew nothing about it.
I'd forgotten that story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so
That's
many.
a good one to forget.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, and so many of the stories we could tell you never even made the news.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
It's pretty
Yeah.
pretty wild.
And
I'm
don't
sure.
need to be published on the internet
Right.
now.
In fact, we'll just move on.
Now I have a lot more questions.
Yeah. Mikey here originally started as a bartender with us, and then when the workload started getting heavy in the brewery, we talked about bringing somebody back. You know, I mean, you can't just put anybody into a brewery setting and get the results that you need. I mean, there's so much multitasking. There's so many quick decisions you have to make. There's so many things you have to follow. You know, Mikey seemed to have the right stuff, and we brought him in, and he's just been slaying it back there
Oh, no.
ever since.
I've known him for a couple of days.
Yeah.
He's
been a hell of an
a cool
opportunity,
customer.
so-
That's the thing. He's a cool customer.
Yeah.
I'm definitely proud to be a part of this. I mean, it's been about 6 years now. About 6 years now in the brewery. So we've really gone through a lot of transformations and trials and tribulations, so to speak, with the tap room closing and reopening after COVID. That was kind of funny with the apartment complex opening up next door to us. We withstood 2 years of a lot of headaches and heartaches
Yeah,
because
the
of all the
construction,
construction
yeah.
next door to us. And then as soon as it was finished, COVID hit. And we
Yeah.
had to shut the tap room down. So
Yeah.
I feel like finally within the past few months, things have started to, the ship has righted, and we've opened a new location out at the new KCI airport. So there's
heard,
been
yeah.
a lot of new developments and a lot of new, a lot more work to do, a lot more beer to brew. So I think it's awesome to have these challenges kind of right in our face and stand up to them and overcome them. And, make this place bigger and badder year after year.
What's been a
great.
big challenge, as people are coming back out the last year and a half, 2 years?
Well, we had to really, I'm not going to say pivot. We had to adapt.
I think you're required actually to say
We had to
Everybody
pivot.
has to say pivot.
Everybody has. That's a social
drink
drink.
when you
Social
pivot,
drink.
yeah.
Pivot. It's a pivot. Yes. So we pivoted like a mofo. But we had just gotten our canning line, 5 months before COVID shut down.
Yeah, I think so.
And at the time, we were putting everything we had in draft, for the most part, what we didn't sell in tap room. We didn't have a whole lot of beer to put into cans. It could have been a little bit early if it wasn't totally on time. Because once COVID hit, we had just launched our cans into the market a few weeks, maybe a month prior on the Missouri side, and then we got approval to launch cans on the Kansas side the day before they shut down the Kansas government.
Oh wow.
And that alone may have saved this ship, because the Kansas side is already a bigger package market, where the Missouri side's typically a bigger on-premise market, and so the ability to get cans over there and be selling cans on both sides of the state line was huge for us.
We
Now with
learned
the-
a lot about ourselves and canning. We went
Yes.
from being newbies to canning in the first few months to being absolute rock stars.
Yeah.
Taking maybe 5 or 6 people on a canning run day to
Yeah.
now if we need to, we can operate it with 2 people.
Yeah.
I think
I feel
COVID,
like that's a
Yeah.
common story.
yeah, I think COVID
Right.
taught everybody how to can. Where
Yeah.
it was one at a time,
Or-
or you're going to figure
or
out a canning line.
package.
One or the other.
Right.
So let's go to, we
I
talked about this.
We got pause actually. What is everybody drinking?
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Talk about
Junior's
the
gonna
beers.
get pissed
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
We didn't mention what we're drinking.
We didn't do
Stupid.
Well, I think he brought you an extra.
round table.
Oh no, that
he
Micah brought
his
himself
own.
an
I
extra.
already-
He brought his.
I already
brought his
licked,
back
I already
up.
licked it, so
Black IPA. I don't know what she poured you.
What'd she pour me?
That's our Foxtrotter. It's our
Yeah,
Scottish ale.
Scottish.
Gotta show, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a yard sale, our
What do
light
you-
pale ale.
I just finished a West Bottoms IPA.
I mean,
Midwest
feel
style
free to
IPA.
get up and go get another. I mean, it's that kind of show.
We don't
Well,
like
right, me with a good time.
Yeah,
we don't
right.
like empty glasses.
Hit that concession stand, give me a popcorn with extra
Yeah,
butter.
right.
Hot dogs around.
Hot dog. Yeah.
So
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're
Well
listening
played.
without the rig, right? We don't all have the headphones.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
missed
I,
the
I
words.
think I prefer the headphones.
And I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back.
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
gets
yeah.
the vibrational
Yeah,
quality.
because some of the background noise, I get
Man, I don't have my
ADD.
buttons.
Right, yeah, we're missing components of the show.
Yeah.
That just makes
The
me
dog
have
and
to- that
pony
makes me
show.
Now
have
I'm gonna have to work harder at
Yeah.
the end.
Or we do a follow-up. We do a follow-up.
come back and do episode 2.
Look, does that mean we're gonna drink more beer?
Yeah,
Well, of course.
And,
Okay.
yes. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to get through all this in one sitting. We get a little long-winded.
There's a lot of stories though.
A lot
Well,
of stories.
our episodes are short.
Yeah.
We try to keep them around an hour and a half.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So let's get. We talked about
Oh,
what
thank
kind
you.
of questions. We only have a few questions that are really actual questions. Everybody, before you start drinking craft, you were drinking something. Let's start with you. What were you drinking before you started drinking craft, and what beer flipped you over?
Well, that's actually kind of a funny story because I grew up in a small town in Montana, and we had our own small craft brewery in our town. So I grew up in Red Lodge, and we had a little brewery called Red Lodge Ales, and I won't say how old I was, but I went to a friend's wedding and ended up spending the night outside in the forest by myself after drinking too many pale ales and realizing how much I really loved pale ales. And so I actually kind of started on
Wow.
craft beer when I was young, obviously still 21.
Yeah. Statute of limitations.
Obviously.
Of course.
But after being lucky enough to drink craft beer sort of starting early, then when I went to college, money becomes a bit more of a factor.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't
a-
have
that's
that
a theme,
local
yeah.
craft beer. So then I went straight to PBRs and Kokanee. I love drinking Kokanee or
Kokanee.
Yeah.
That's not one we've heard.
it's Canadian. Comes
Okay.
in a glass bottle, so it feels
Hey.
fancier.
Oh, and pinky out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's social.
So 12-pack of Kokanee. Or,
Anytime somebody says coconut, you drink for sure.
We're gonna get a lot of new games this episode.
What was the one that the executive director of the Brewers Guild? What did she say? It was some shit they had
It
in
was a
Columbia.
German name.
But it was in Columbia, Missouri.
And we
were
did-
like, I had never heard of it.
I can't
But
remember
somebody
what it was
chimed
now.
in on Instagram that they had drank it and was really bad. So
So we won't mention that.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
we-
you know what you started with.
yeah. Well, so you had a taste for good beer.
Yeah,
in the
I was
beginning.
lucky because
Yeah.
every wedding in town, the brewery would always support and throw
Yeah,
a couple
yeah.
kegs that way. They had a keg trailer that would just show up at the weddings.
Nice.
So you could just pull on the handles yourself and get your own pours
Yeah.
at basically every event that happened.
Why doesn't this happen still?
Small towns, they're great.
Yeah. Mikey, what about you?
Let's see. So I would say probably
There you
Sierra,
go. Don't
Sierra
scare
Nevada
Mike.
Pale Ale
what
was
you started
probably
drinking?
an earlier one that kind of changed my perspective on.
You weren't
on
drinking any
beer.
shit before that.
I distinctly remember going and seeing a show in Lawrence and having the Free State Oatmeal Stout.
Oh yeah, you just came out the box drinking, independent
that-
beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just a fancy boy.
Well, we grew up, sipping a little shot out of each bottle in the liquor cabinet, So I mean, it was
The Lord's wine.
The Lord's
oh
wine.
yeah,
Yes.
yep. No, absolutely. There was plenty of that going around. So in terms of beer, I think it was probably just simple, a easy, quaffable, drinkable pale ale, that had a good hop bitterness, hop character to it. Which oddly enough, we got to meet Steve Dressler, who's one of the founding members and brewers of Sierra Nevada. He came in and for one of the Master Brewers Association of America Great Plains chapter meetings, and I mean this is a digression, but I showed up late and came into the brewery to put my stuff up, and he was kind of walking around and was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And he's like, "Oh, pretty good. This is a beautiful brewery you have here." And I was like, "Yeah, man, thanks a lot." I was showing him some pictures of what the brewery looked like
Yeah.
when it was a dining room, in the old steakhouse.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Where's your lab?" I'm like, "Oh, well, We don't
You're
really
looking
have
at it.
one. Yeah, exactly. I was like, we do a lot of sensory analysis, and there's third-party.
Looks good. Tastes good.
companies. Yeah. He's like, you boys need to get yourself a lab. And then when I found out who it was later, when he was doing the keynote speech, I was like, man, I'm really glad I didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have had as good of a time talking to him. I was a little more intimidated.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah.
It felt weird.
You're here.
It felt weird to have a microphone to
I know.
actually lean
Yeah.
into. Yeah.
I tried to be.
Yeah. Michael, what about you, bud?
Well, before I continue that story, I passed Steve in the hallway later that afternoon, and he stopped me and he said, "You guys, this Cerveza Royale," he's like, "You got one here." And I was like, "Wow!" Like coming from this guy, that's.
I drank a lot of that during COVID.
That was a big one. You know, that's one of those like, yeah. You know, we that's a success
that's
mark.
nice.
That was a success mark.
Yeah.
I never, whatever age we all start drinking beer at or experimenting with tasting alcohol, I didn't care for, the whatever yard beer or the Schwill beer at the time. But my dad, having spent a lot of time in Germany and what was then Czechoslovakia and Austria and whatnot, he always had like Pilsner Urquell and other like Czech Pilsners in the fridge. So I grew up being familiar with that and like tasting it, I guess, occasionally probably. But then, I never really got into the Schwilly beers, but I had a friend who was like, "Oh, you don't like those Schwilly beers?" He's like, "You need to check out this stuff." And he was talking about, at that time it was Sam Adams and Foster's was like one of the beers you could get,
It was a sweet beer.
and this was in Topeka. I mean, as compared to Milwaukee's Best, which was probably the best seller in Topeka. Natty Light, Busch Light, top keg party beers, whatever. But then I had friends, that upperclassmen that were throwing parties and had kegs of a Boulevard Pale Ale and Bully Porter.
Oh wow!
Even. Yeah. So that was pretty early on. A lot of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Actually, we could get at that time Spanish Peaks out of Bozeman, Montana.
I don't even think I know Spanish Peaks.
The Black Dog Ale, and they had a honey raspberry something that was like really popular.
This is some of the fancier stuff that we've
To,
heard.
to find three people at the same time who have come out with, I only drank good beer.
I came out the boom swinging.
I drink plenty of that stuff now still. I mean, I still drink a lot of Tall Boys and PBR and some highlights.
Sure,
I love
but
you some
not
highlights.
Milwaukee's Best.
No.
Although we did have a pretty badass Natter Days.
We've had a
Natter
Natter
Days
Day
party in
experience.
here. Pretty much that whole bar was covered in Natter Days the next day. Took a couple deep cleans to get that off.
Basically shotgunned a whole 30-pack between the crew of us.
Between some people.
Well, sometimes you need team building.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
fucking
I think
team
you always
builder
need
right
to.
there. I don't know what team it is, but it's building it.
We're building one.
Fast forward, let's see, however many years. I've been brewing professionally for about 24 years now, and my first award, GABF award, that was solely my beer and my recipe and everything was a Czech style Pilsner, Bohemian Pils, that I named Papa's Pils after my dad.
Oh, no shit.
Because
That's
it was
cool.
his favorite style of beer and my
yeah.
first introduction to like some kind of a world class beer, world class Pilsner, and won a bronze medal, silver medal,
When was that?
something medal, 2006.
Wow. Oh, it was a long
Yeah.
time ago, bro.
Yeah, so that was that was a proud moment for me, but for my dad, his son, the brewer, and then having made a Czech style Pilsner that was named in his honor, it was like that was a big moment.
Where were you in 2006?
2006, I was with when 75th Street Brewery had a location in Lawrence. It was right when it was transitioning, I think, from 75th Street Brewery to 23rd Street Brewery.
Yeah.
And then ran that and then helped that transition in 23rd Street Brewery, and then moved out to Indiana and ran a Belgian-style brewery out there in Indiana for a few years before landing back in Kansas City in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in 2009, Is that right? Yeah. 2009, 2010, I come back to Kansas City, and I'm like, I want to take over Kansas City. I want to take over the Kansas City
You
craft
didn't
beer
get Nick
scene.
in there.
Oh, I didn't get in.
It's just like, you think of half his face. Well, it's just the first time we've taken a picture during the podcast. Here we are.
Yeah, selfies, ussies.
Ussies.
Gotta have some social media
speaking of beer.
presence for us.
So one of the things we do on this show, we have mystery beers. So here's the mystery beer bag, right?
Wait a minute. Let's pretend we're hitting a button.
So normally, if he had the board, so when we did Big Rip, Bree kept singing mystery beers, and so it's a loop. Every time when we have the board, we hit the button. It's
I
mystery
know.
beer time.
I'm letting the show down.
Brought to you by Brewview,
that's
Missouri. We have a couple of sponsors, but we forget to mention them.
Oh, the magazine.
Yeah. Brewview,
Right on.
Brewview, Missouri, Brewview,
Vermont,
and coming soon.
coming soon, Brewview, New Hampshire.
because I keep thinking it's New Hampshire. Vermont, New
He's
Hampshire.
not really expanding, but we're making him expand.
All right,
We keep
yeah,
saying
great.
New Hampshire.
So here's the
Nice.
mystery beer bag. So it's from a golf course. We don't know which one because the guy's not talking. But one of you guys get to pick a beer out of here. We play a game. So when you pick out, you can get the beer, tell us what it is. Try not to look at the ABV because we like to play guess the ABV.
And we do prices right style, closest
Yeah.
without going over.
Okay.
1%, Bob. 1%.
Sometimes that's what you
Can
do.
you go 1%?
Let's start all the way around over there with Greg.
Okay,
You want
sure.
to pass that around, so you just put your hand in there and grab whatever you want.
Just reach in the bag.
There might be a bottle opener in there from.
There could be a scorpion in there.
We got glass
Fear factor.
and aluminum.
Yeah.
Anything in a
There's
plastic.
a really big one down
There's
here.
a certain
There's
swirl
a big one.
technique going
Oh,
on
is he
there.
swirling down there? Easy.
Is your wallet in there too?
I did break out on Sunday. There's two ladies, two blondes drink beer. Oh, that's
Okay.
fancy.
All
Yeah.
right.
Don't look at the ABV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not the AB. Okay. And
There you go.
There we
Nice,
are.
That was a
into
nice
it.
little tiny bird. That wasn't a tiny bird. That was a decent bird.
Excuse me.
My bad.
You're a tiny bird.
That was
That was
not
not
a
what
cry
your-
bird.
That was not a
Is
cry
that
bird.
what your mom used to call you?
Yeah.
Tiny bird? Get over here, tiny bird.
okay, so what are we doing
drinking?
here?
There's
we
a
drink it.
There's
Okay.
a bottle
Look at the
opener in there,
ABV.
or you probably have.
I got one. I got one.
There's
You
one
just
in
looked
there
at the
from
ABV, didn't you?
Pathlight.
It may have come from Pathlight. We don't know.
Sorry, Tanner. So yeah, you get to pour as well. So slide into the glasses. Yeah, just put your mic down and. Yeah.
It's like motor oil. I'm going to go with 5W30, Bob.
So you can read the label, tell us what it is, where it's from.
All right.
This was a we love beer karma. When you put beer karma out in the world, beer comes back to you. You know.
Well, we have two rules.
Two rules. Rule number
I'll
one,
drink to
don't
that.
die. Rule number two, don't be a dick. If you're a dick, you ruin your beer
That's one
karma.
of our mottos, too.
Those are
Don't be a
pretty
dick.
good rules.
Yeah. Oh, that smells amazing.
All right, so this
Crooked and
is
Steep series.
Yep.
Next 500 milliliters, drink with care. It's a barrel-aged sour stout. Okay.
where's it from?
It's on my shirt.
Oh, this got a hold?
It's
Got a
it's
hold.
got a hold.
Got a hold brewing
I ran to this guy.
out of Eureka Springs.
Yeah, really great brewery.
Nice. Those Northern Arkansas boys know how to
Yeah.
make some beers, I think.
It's a soured what?
Stout.
Sour stout.
That's nice.
Ooh, there's a lot to that.
Can I have the country of origin?
Can
Can you use it in a sentence?
Can you use that beer in a sentence, please?
And I have the definition.
Now, I ran to this guy. I know him from Lee Summit. Comes to Grains and Taps. So we did a podcast with Dave and Wendy, who own the Got a Hold, and it's a love story brewing thing that came together. Great story. He's from New York. She's from Oklahoma. They met. Got a hold. Their friends like, go hang out in Eureka Springs. They went there and they said it got a hold of us. That's where the name came from.
Oh,
So they moved there and opened a brewery.
Yeah, and it's you can put that brewery right here in Kansas City. They do really great beers, really great people. So this guy I know, he's like, oh, those are friends of mine. When I go to Eureka Springs, I stay at their house. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. He's like, you want me to bring you some beer? I'm like, oh yeah. So a couple weeks ago, he came back and left some beer at the brewery for me.
Nice.
Beer Karma. There it is.
Nice.
That's
Beer
great.
karma.
But that's
We've
a good
got-
beer.
We've actually got some of that going with Ozark Beer Co.
Yep.
There's been a lot of like our beer showing up there, their
Yeah.
beer showing up here, and sometimes we don't even know how it got here. It
Yeah.
just shows up.
That's the best
did
kind
you-
of
beer karma, man.
Yeah,
That's that
for
beer
sure.
karma.
It just
It
happens.
just happens.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
And it's I bet it's super sneaky ABV. What do you bet? Barrel aged? and
Definitely
shit?
sneaky.
Well, I may have inadvertently notice the ABV.
Well,
so
then you can't
I will
participate.
not participate
You have
in
to
the
play
game.
Bob Barker now.
Yeah.
That's was it spay and neuter your pets, right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
Bob.
right.
Thank you,
Spay
Bob.
new to your brewers. Probably more,
Some of them need it. You know what I'm saying?
right. We want a better life for our kids.
What do you think the ABV is?
Ooh.
I don't know.
I'm going with
some left in there?
9.4.
So the winner gets the rest of the beer. That's the way it works.
That's my gut feeling. 9.4.
9.4.
It's closest without going over.
Yes. Yeah. You know the deal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go a little higher than
Yeah,
that.
same. Because I think they're sneaky with it. I think I'm gonna go like 11. I don't know why. It doesn't taste like 11, but
10-7.
Taking it to
by
11.
the way, we're terrible at this game.
Oh,
we
yeah.
are. We're
Yeah, we
terrible at it.
we don't win.
There's no science in this at all.
I'm
What
gonna
did
go
you say,
10-7.
Mikey?
I said 9.4.
9.4.
What'd you say?
10-7.
You got,
I'm not
yeah.
getting that wild rush of high ABV when I'm taking a sip of it.
True.
I'm just going on the
but
take
it's
it
Something over
sneaky at that
10,
brewery.
I usually
Sometimes
get
that
Some shit
souring
that's
can
called
do
crooked
that,
and
though.
steep. I'm just saying.
It's not hot.
Not at all.
I like the character of it.
Not at all. It's super smooth.
When we went to Surly, they had a dark sour that was not quite as dark and
I don't know
color.
that I've ever had a
Kind of reminds
Like
me of
a-
that.
sour stout before.
It was a style that came and went. I was glad about it.
Yeah.
along with like rye IPAs. I was like, nah, I'm not cool with that.
Oh, I'm totally down with rye IPAs. I love rye.
Oh,
I
yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Pretty much anything
But
with rye.
one of the best.
Yeah, I like
Hey, look.
whiskey and rye.
Yeah, one of the best.
Uncle Nearest Dry, all day.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
good. One of the best sour stouts or dark sours that I've ever had was Madrugada from Jolly Pumpkin up in
Oh
Wisconsin.
yeah.
That didn't stick around very long either, but that beer was
It's not
was
something
quite
I
good
wouldn't
and
drink. I could drink one. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
intense. Yeah.
So what's
Well,
he,
we haven't had
Well,
his answer
hold
yet.
on.
You
I'm
and still roommates
I'm-
over here.
yeah.
Serious.
Well-
He wants to win.
I played to win. I get that from my mom.
I mean, I can see that gleam
Yeah,
in his
no,
eye.
yeah, he's fucking serious right now.
Yeah. What'd you go with, Mikey?
9.4.
9.4.
9.4, Bob.
9.4. And we got a 10-7.
Or I guess it's Drew now.
10-7 and an 11. So you got a
10-7
lot of
and 11.
leeway there.
Yeah.
A lot of leeway.
As he goes back for another drink. This is the longest we've ever
I know.
taken.
I
to
don't
get
know if I've ever
ABV
seen
out
me
of
take it so serious.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's a decent amount to win.
Yeah. And I'm about to be out of beer, so hopefully it's 11%.
I'm gonna
or
go.
higher. Unless you want up me.
I mean, my
You-
first thing that came to mind was 11.7.
Oh, big boy.
But I don't know. But I have made beers that strong that were not hot and
Right.
and soured, and you couldn't tell. I think I'm gonna go with 10.3.
10-3.
Our actual retail ABV?
I think it said 8.2. It's in the 8s. It's in the low
Is it?
8s.
So we all lose.
I don't know if there's enough
I
light
should've
here
gone
to
1%.
actually-
What is that?
Bob.
Well, give it back to the man with who can see. Shit.
Yeah.
What is that?
8.5.
Who wins?
So we all
Nobody.
we all went over.
Everybody.
No.
Nobody went with one.
I
1% was the way to go.
and I joked about it. And I guess that really was my first guess.
Well, I'm
The
still out of beer,
intuition.
so there's that.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
top
fix
it off.
that.
I mean, I don't need
Well,
to
it's
top it up.
delicious.
No, that's good. That's good. I need a regular beer that's not, soured.
Well, yeah. What do you want, Nigel? I'll run and grab you.
Cerveza Royale, sir.
When in doubt.
Well done.
I really drank a lot of that drink.
Buen
'Cause you
trabajo.
remember Together We Can at Diametric, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You remember
yeah.
you guys had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt compelled to buy all the beers from all the breweries.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
But the one that I had the most of was fucking Cerveza Royale, because I was
Yep.
like, you could drink that at 3 in the morning. You could drink that at 2 in the
It's
afternoon.
any time. I mean,
It was-
there's so many days I've been
Yeah.
like, I'm never drinking again. And then I get around a Cerveza Royale and I'm like, well, actually, I could probably do a Cerveza Royale.
Because
Or 4.
as soon as you as,
Four?
as
That's
soon
how,
as you
that's
drink
how it
one,
happens.
and you drink half of it because it's so refreshing. You're like,
Right.
It's
Right.
like it's like a Gatorade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first half is opening a bottle of water.
If,
And
if
then you
beer
threw
is
the
the
lime in
question,
there.
Oh, well, I'll do the same.
When in Rome. Thank you, sir.
If beer is the question,
Absolutely.
Cerveza Royale is the answer.
Well, we used to serve it in the tall Hefeweizen glasses, the tall Pilsner
Yeah.
glasses. So
Then it got too popular, and we're like, we're just giving it away at this point. What's the smallest glass we can serve it in?
Our margin needs to be better.
Yeah. Increase margin.
well, yeah, it's so drinkable. It's such a
Yeah,
great beer.
that's a great beer. So, Micah, how did you get into brewing? Was there a Mr. Beer kit involved?
There wasn't not a Mr. Beer kit involved.
Well, there's an answer.
I wasn't really. It kind of fell into my lap a little bit, and I don't mean that in the like I passed out drunk and spilled my beer in my lap.
Okay, heard.
Well, we've all been there.
Disclaimer. Yeah, not that I haven't done that. I haven't not done that. I did have a friend that had a home brewing kit from her dad or something, or maybe it was like her ex-boyfriend.
Somebody's brew kit.
Yeah, it was somebody's brew
There was
kit.
a girl
and she was
and
like,
an ex. I don't know.
Yeah, there was some stuff involved. She gave me the brew kit. It sat around. Eventually, I made some beer on it. But at that time, we're talking late 90s. It was, there were like, I knew 2 people that homebrewed.
Yeah.
Now there's like 2 people on your block that homebrew, on every block. So it wasn't as easy to get into, and it wasn't as accessible, and the homebrew shops weren't everywhere, and I might not even have been old enough to drink when I started making beer.
That's the beauty.
And some of these homebrew shops, like you had to show ID to buy the ingredients.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know if that was.
I've never heard
I
of
don't
that
know
one.
if that was the thing.
Never heard
they
about
would-
some grain?
I mean,
I need your ID.
yeah, grain and hops. What are you up to, buddy?
I'm making bread.
Nothing.
I'm
Yeah,
making
making
lemonade.
bread.
Making
yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Making bread.
Oh, potpourri mix.
It's my mom.
I'm gonna
It's my
steep
mom.
it on the stove,
Grandma's
and then I'm
coming
gonna
to town.
ferment it in the closet for a couple weeks. Yeah. So I got into home brewing, but not really. I mean, it just wasn't that accessible, and the batches I made were not very good, and so I found it frustrating that there wasn't really a lot of information out there. There weren't a lot of people that I knew that did it, so I just didn't have a lot of help along that way.
Yeah. Feel
But
free to have some more.
but I knew the basics of how.
That's what it's here
But at
for.
that point, I knew the basics of how beer was made. And then I had a friend that was in brewing, and he worked at the old Pony Express brewery that used to be out in Olathe.
Oh, yeah.
135th and Ridgeview Road, roughly.
And that's the saddest pour I've ever seen.
Shooter will finish that
That's
off.
like a cry burp.
I know.
I saved some for you, buddy.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't see in the bottle, so there's that.
Put some tears in there with it. But I had a friend that worked in the brewing industry, and he had been at some of the smaller brew pubs around the area. They were looking to hire somebody. At that time, people also weren't going to brewing school all the
Yeah.
time, and there weren't as many programs, and there were hardly any programs really. It was UC Davis and Siebel, but they just weren't as accessible again as they are now. And so he knew that I had, the basic knowledge of what goes into beer and how it's made, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, we want somebody that we can train from scratch, and
Really?
and that doesn't have bad habits, because that was sort of a thing,
Yeah.
because you didn't have a lot of people that had gone to any kind of structured training program or a school of some sort. You had a lot of guys that were just kind of winging it, or people that worked in a brew pub as a dishwasher and then eventually became the brewer or whatever. There was a lot of that.
You talking about Bucky?
Oh,
Talking about Brian Buckingham?
Bucky, I hope you're watching this.
Love you, Bucky.
Yeah, and look at us now.
I don't know who Bucky is, but shout out to Bucky.
So
You know who Bucky is.
so he said, "Hey, are you?"
Brian, he was a brewer at Cinder Block for a long time.
Oh,
and now
yeah,
he's
yeah,
up
yeah.
at Three Hats.
Yeah.
He started out at, I think he was actually a dish boy at
At Free State.
Free State.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Wow. Way to go, Bucky.
So anyway, he said, "Hey, I know that like how beer's made, and we want to train somebody and bring them up the way we'd like to." And I was like, "Man, yeah, for sure." And
What were you doing before that?
I did work in coffee shops for some time. I was 21 at the
Yeah.
time when I got into it, and so before that was just kind of like whatever jobs. I did line cooking and landscaping, but I did do some coffee shop work. So there was a lot about when you have to have your coffee grounds at the right grist, I guess.
Right. There's definitely
to say it.
crossover there.
Right,
Yeah,
there's crossover there of brewing and stuff. So there was a little bit of that I was able to take with me as well. But that first opportunity was I got to brew, all the beer. I got to do cellar management. We got to do bottling and warehouse management and, filtration. And I got to do a little bit of everything, which was a bigger opportunity than a lot of people had, which was just maybe moving into the brew pub and you're just the scrub that cleans the stuff and that's it. And so, at that age too, and again, it just wasn't anything like it is now. So people didn't even really take it seriously as like a real job. Actually,
Exactly.
I had a girlfriend at the time who I once asked her mom what she thought about us getting married, and she laughed in my face and she said, "No, my daughter's going to marry somebody with a real job." And I was like,
You know what?
"What?"
I was told recently, because I work at breweries, all you do is pour beer. I'm like, okay, heard.
Right.
Yeah.
I get paid to fucking do it. It's still a
Yeah.
job.
It's still,
I mean, that's,
It's still a
if you're
job.
not getting paid, it's a hobby, right?
That's right.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, that was kind of the start, and for the first couple of years, I was pretty young and like I didn't really see it as a career, and then after a few years, I realized that I could like actually make a career out of this, and I did a lot of self-educating and reading and teaching myself how to write recipes and figuring out, and I've always been good with numbers, so like figuring out equations on how to calculate hop bitterness and all, extract and all of this stuff, and started breaking down all those equations and teaching myself that stuff.
And if you want to see some spreadsheet knowledge, this guy can
I do like to make
this guy can
spreadsheets.
rock a
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
No, let's keep
Yeah.
it real.
That spreadsheet could be an entire podcast all on its own.
No.
for
Yeah,
this
right.
guy.
Let's talk
It took me
spreadsheets.
so long to pick the ABV for that fucking beer. I know.
I'm running the numbers in my head. Yeah, there was a lot of math going on.
It's funny because, you doing that so young, we've come across the brewer at, what's that brewery in New Jersey? You've like checked out, haven't you?
Well, I mean, you didn't give him a whole lot
no,
of
I was thinking-
just
I was
that
thinking the
brewery in
chicken
New
and biscuit
Jersey.
guy.
There's
Hey, what's that?
probably
The one
more
in
than
New
That
Jersey.
one.
one brewery, that one
So we
guy.
met.
Four
City in
Ford
New
City.
Jersey. This kid is like, he grew up, his dad was in a homebrew club,
He was.
and now he's the brewer.
He
His
had
brewery.
just turned 21
Yeah, he's like
when we
21.
met him
Yeah.
last summer. At
So
Barrel and Flow.
it's not very often we find people who've done it their whole career,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You're like the third, and this is episode, 92?
93.
Yeah.
93?
I mean, it will always be more than half my life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mikey, what about you? How did you
Wow.
get in the game?
I was living in Denver, was working for a local restaurant concept here, training franchisees and trying to, further my career. But being out in in downtown Denver,
Low,
a lot
or
of
high?
yeah, we were a couple blocks from the convention.
Mid-dough.
Yeah, a
That
couple.
just cracks me up.
Yeah,
Low, no, high dough.
mid-dough.
what
We were
up,
like
Do-si-do.
2 blocks from the
That's
the
here.
convention
That's here.
center. So
Do-si-do?
a lot of breweries
We'll call this do-si-do.
self-distribute out there. So I had to kind of create a beer program that had never really been done for the company I was working for, and got to know a lot of the reps from the local craft distributors and a lot of the brewers themselves who were kind of handling that aspect of, just selling, because a place like us, it's just, working off of kegerators. You're buying one sixtel every couple of weeks or something like that. So, and being in the restaurant industry since I was like 16, kind of was talking about pivoting, kind of.
Social.
Oh shit!
Pivot, this is.
Really fell in love with the craft beer industry, and became a sales intern for a brewery called Renegade out there for a few months. And our taproom manager also knew one of their sales reps, so that was kind of this weird 9 degrees of separation, or 7 degrees of separation. And
Actually, go down one more.
Yeah, 6 degrees. 6 degrees.
Around
Anyways,
the city, it's like
yeah.
1 degree.
Yeah, so that was a very surreal thing whenever I found out about that. But we had kind of played out our opportunity out there, and we're looking to move back to Kansas City. And I had just thrown my hat in the ring here, and got hired on as a bartender, and did that job well enough. And,
I did well enough to get
yeah,
out.
and
get out of the bar.
Micah asked me, and
Better
Greg
than well
asked me to
enough.
come back.
If it was just well enough, you wouldn't have ended up in the brewery.
Well, yeah, so I was doing a good job, and
So were you interested in going into the production
oh
side?
yeah, absolutely. I was very naive on that, which I think a lot of people are getting into the brewing industry.
Bread baking background too.
Yeah, I was a baker and a commercial baker,
Yeah,
and a
that's
bakery
definitely
manager
bread
for a
in there,
while.
yeah. You've got a little bit of that background.
Yeah, now make liquid bread, so a different avenue. But yeah, just started off washing kegs and was still bartending here,
Yeah.
kind of working 8 days a week, and one thing led to another, and
8 days a week.
my wife had gotten a promotion and full-time job from where she was working, so I was like, well, would it be okay if I just worked full-time in the brewery?
Yeah.
And it was, again, little did I know.
Look at you now.
I know,
Everybody wants
but-
to be a brewer until it's time to do
Right,
brewership.
but it's definitely a work hard, play hard
Yeah.
industry as well, and and it's an honor to work with Micah. It's an honor to work with Greg. This.
I'll drink to proper suck
Yeah,
ups.
dude,
Yeah.
it has been difficult for sure.
It's
and,
an honor to work with Mikey.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. I can't even
It's
tell
an honor
you.
to be on this podcast.
Dude, hell yeah.
This is a
That was
podcast.
a whole lot of sucking up.
Is that a podcast?
No, honestly, because it was the same type of deal. I had worked with Max Filter, our head brewer at Renegade, a little bit, just kind of shadowing with him because I wanted to get know more about the process. And yeah, they were in the process of moving to a new facility.
Yeah.
And pumping wort into totes and then driving them down the road and pumping them into fermenters. And, yeah, so
I've
I was
never heard
kind of
that
like,
shit.
oh,
Wow.
wow, this is
That's some guerrilla
really
brewing right
shitty.
there.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Where you get pulled up? What's that in that cardboard?
Why you
It's
got 6 totes?
So it was,
nothing.
it
That's
definitely
nothing.
was
What's
an
that over there?
eye-opening experience. No doubt
That's
about
great.
that. So, the fact that I, ended up here, I feel like it's a godsend, and it's really we're all doing this together. The three of
Yeah.
us are making this work, and making this brand bigger and badder.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, Stockyards is where the brand was born.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept
Yeah.
of that too. So, then with the apartment complexes
Yeah.
and residential being moved down here,
Yeah.
it's really kind of full circle with the city beginning down in the West Bottoms.
Now you guys are definitely an anchor here now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
so
there wasn't
so
really
to
when you
be,
guys started.
because
there wasn't shit down here,
I
really.
had just started learning brew house procedures and wort production a few weeks before COVID shut down.
Yeah.
So that was a very
Parade.
yeah. It was the day of the first Chief Super Bowl
Yeah.
parade when I brewed my first batch of my own.
Yeah.
It was almost
So-
that's almost exactly a month,
That's crazy.
right?
It's
Before
crazy to
before
think
hell
about
broke
that.
loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was definitely trial by fire at that point, where it was either sink or swim, figure
Yeah.
it out, or
Yeah.
get shipped out. So
It was
yeah.
three of us.
Well, and you guys,
No,
you guys
no,
have
but
been
I
around
mean,
this a
I've
little
made my
bit.
mistakes. I think everybody that's an important part of the process, an important part of the journey is making mistakes, and
Well, yeah,
learning
man,
from
it's fucking-
them.
That's called
and-
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not big enough ones to get your ass fired.
Who were we talking to the other day that was reading a resume, and on the resume somebody was saying all of their jobs at other breweries are working hard, and the person who was doing the hiring didn't hire this person because they said, sorry, you just haven't made enough mistakes in your career yet.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
We want somebody who's made these mistakes and
Yeah.
they won't make them again type of thing.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's a great way to
Yeah.
think about hiring somebody, and it gives
Right.
it gives a new employee that understanding that, like, yeah, you can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
these mistakes are okay.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous area to be working. There's hot liquids, there's chemicals. As long as you have your safety procedures in
Yeah.
place, you can still make a mistake and be okay
Yeah.
and come out on the other
Yeah.
side more ready to be a better brewer and
Yeah.
better life skills from it type of thing. But I just thought that was a cool.
Yeah.
Who was
Yeah.
that?
That was Steve.
Was it? Oh, it was Steve Brott. Oh, that's cool.
So what's you were like? You've heard their stories. What the fuck? You're like, I want to own a brewery.
Yeah, I mean, why am I here?
Yeah. No, I mean, you
He had the
obviously-
idea.
How'd you get into the game? What made you think? Because that's one of the things we love about people who go from home brewers and they're like, oh, when you find out why they wanted to open a brewery, shout out to the dudes over Sandhills. That's one of our favorite episodes because they swore up and down it's going to take them $15,000.
Right, that's it.
15K.
All you need is $15,000.
That's the title of the episode. It only takes $15,000 to open a brewery.
$15,000, Bob.
He
Boy,
was
if it was
wrong.
only that, there'd be 1,000 breweries, right? That's all you need. 15 G's.
No, I mean, I'm lucky that I come from a family who's always been kind of entrepreneurs, and my parents have always done their own thing. My mother and father.
Oh, that combined together.
Yeah,
Father,
yeah,
father.
yeah.
We
It's
just
like
made up a new word.
the Transformers that
That's my
combine.
father.
Yeah,
My father.
They've owned and operated and sold many of their own businesses throughout their career, restaurants and consulting companies and things like that. And so from an early age, it was just kind of instilled in me that, if you want to do something, you can have the opportunity to do it. You just got to work hard at it. You got to get the right things in place. You got to get the right people in place, and you can make a business if you want.
Yeah.
And after I graduated from college, I went to work for my family business here in Kansas City, and kind of always knew that I was going to eventually do my own thing.
Really?
But I didn't know what variety that might be.
Yeah.
For a long time, I thought I wanted to be a diesel mechanic because I'm basically a redneck from Montana. So
I mean,
big trucks, loud noises, those are things that all really get me excited.
that's a beer name. Big trucks, loud noises. You guys can have it.
Thank you.
Is that a stout?
Maybe.
Could be.
I mean,
It's got to
Could
be
be
high.
a rye IPA.
It's got to be. The ABV's got to
You know
be
what?
like
I'll drink it
sky
once.
high on that though, right?
you say
Gotta
what?
be
Yes.
super high
Oh, yeah.
ABV.
Do you want to
Big-
take a guess at the ABV? Or?
It's got to be 14 at least.
Yeah,
Oh,
nope,
hell.
you're wrong.
That's what she said.
I'm wrong.
15.
I said at least.
Closest
You're
without
wrong.
going over.
You're wrong for beers that doesn't even exist yet.
That's right.
Fuck you.
God damn it.
But
I'd say 18 wheeler. You got to go 18.
Oh, there we go. Big rig.
Yeah, big rig.
Here we are. Here we are.
I moved to Kansas City. I started coming to Kansas City in like 2005-ish. My sister moved here then. But I didn't officially move here until 2010. And at that time, I kind of felt like Kansas City was really starting to build its food and drink culture.
Yeah.
And many years before that, Kansas City has always had a great drink culture
Yeah.
and food culture.
Yeah.
But it was really starting to develop again downtown. And so I was living downtown, and I was just making the best of meeting as many restaurateurs.
Downtown Kansas City?
Yeah, yeah.
In
I was
2010, there wasn't shit down there.
I was in the Crossroads, recently renovated.
Right, the Crossroads wasn't even
Great
lit.
house.
Is Greg and his 6-shooter.
I mean, my big rig.
In
was parked right on 18th
22,
Street,
it was
wasn't it?
barely rebuilding. I mean, the resurgence
Yeah.
was just
trying.
starting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Power and Light opened in 2007, and everything else
still
kind
took
of
a bit for that
It
to-
did,
Yeah.
yeah. There was Flying Saucer, and so like beer
Yeah,
was
yeah.
still starting to
Yeah.
develop in Kansas City a little bit, and I started in 2012 or so. I really started to think about beer as kind of something that could be fun, and so
Yeah.
I started toying around with business plans and financial models and the nerdy shit related to brewing. And I was home brewing, but I was by no means that good at it.
Did you have a Mr. Beer Kid?
I did not have a Mr. Beer Kid.
We've learned a couple episodes ago there's a Brooklyn Brewing Beer Kid.
Oh, really?
Did not know that was a thing. Shout out to Garrett Oliver.
Yeah, that's right.
The Godfather.
Yeah.
We had a Garrett Oliver sighting last year at the festival.
That's every time we go.
Yeah, Garrett Oliver goes everywhere.
Oh yeah.
That guy's always
That's
out.
bad.
It's
Bad
great.
motherfucker right there. Yeah.
Best dressed man in brewing,
Oh,
too.
fuck yeah, bro. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Obscene. Anyway,
But
back
I
to you.
needed to figure out if I really wanted to do it or not, and so I toyed around with a little bit with the idea of doing a very small sort of kind of the homebrew step up system.
Yeah.
I was working out of a small warehouse down here in the West Bottoms. I found a warehouse in the West Bottoms before I found an apartment when I moved here because
Smart.
I wanted to do big redneck shit, so
Yeah.
I needed to park my truck in a shed somewhere down here. Yeah.
Hurt shit. You got to park the truck first.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, he brought an 18-wheeler with him.
So I found my way to the West Bottoms, and then just really loved the neighborhood because, I mean, as like the mural behind us
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
it was growing up in Montana. You know, I wanted that kind of a little bit of similarity. So
Yeah.
I found a neighborhood that kind of had
Yeah.
that for me in Kansas City, but still wanted the city ideas of food and booze. But then I knew in order to really figure out if I wanted to do it, I had to get a little bit more education.
Yeah.
So like Micah mentioned, the Siebel Institute, I went to Siebel Institute for the
Okay.
business of brewing
Gotcha.
instead of the science
Yeah.
side. Because I knew that in order to make this really work, there
gotta
has
have
to be a
there
business
gotta be a
component
business
to
guy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a certificate from Siebel for that, and then really started to figure out how I could make this work. Started talking with property owners down here in the West Bottoms and see what was available. Met Bill Haas Sr., who's our landlord now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how did this happen? Because
Yeah, I mean, this is an iconic piece of Kansas City.
I mean,
That-
I've been to breweries all over the world. There's nothing like this.
Yeah.
And that's what really drove it hard for
Yeah.
us too, was that realizing a space like this could be available for us to kind of either maintain or watch get driven into the ground and demolished at some point in time.
Right.
And kind of a history nerd. My mother was a history major, or
Same.
history master's, I think, maybe. She's a smart gal. Love your mom. But after meeting Bill Ha, too, because he's a large property owner in Kansas. Was
There's more to come, by the way. So
not really a
bring
real
more
estate
taste.
developer.
Heard, Chef.
Get it.
I'll take a reload too.
But he ran cattle, he ran pigs, so he was the livestock guy. So he obviously was drawn to this neighborhood too. And talking with him just a couple times about this space and this opportunity, it really came to be a reality by walking through the space and being
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
we can have Stockyards Brewing. We can be in a Stockyards neighborhood
Yeah.
in Kansas City.
Yeah.
We can use this space to keep it alive, and we can be crazy enough to put a brewery into a dining room.
I mean, I
and
really
see
feel
what
like
happens.
that next door wouldn't have happened if you guys didn't do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Golden Ox has gone through so many iterations
I'm
of
saying.
their own,
Right, yeah.
too, and the original space was almost 15,000 square feet,
Yeah.
just a massive restaurant. Restaurants don't need to be that big
No.
anymore. So splitting the space in half really made great sense for...
Jordy here.
Jordan!
Yeah, Jordan!
I don't know if we can get that shirt, but that's badass. Ah, I need one. I don't bowl, but I can fuck with that shirt.
So that's kind of where we got going down here, and then building from the branding that exists down here, and
Oh, yeah.
even just beer names,
Yeah.
Cerveza Royale, the American Royal, you know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the Royals coming from this neighborhood
Yeah.
too. So it was a cool historical tie to Kansas City that we could build from.
Yeah. It's your turn to get some
It's
get a
time.
mystery beer.
No,
Oh,
he's
mystery beer
Yeah, you get
time.
the full.
Oh, I should have brought a drum so I could do a
dig
drum
in the
roll.
bag.
Phrasing.
I'm just, first one I'm grabbing.
Mike's got the
Okay.
drums.
All right. We got here Irrational Sense of Entitlement. Barrel-aged Imperial
of
Porter
hipsters.
with vanilla beans
So aged in for 17 months in Hayden Basil
Okay.
barrels.
from Transparent.
Transparent.
They're out in Grandview.
That's where I work. That's my brewery. Well, it's not my brewery. That's where I work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Actually, I'm just gonna send that clip to Nolan.
That's my brewery.
Yeah,
That's my
Nolan,
brewery.
yeah.
You know how many people
That's
come
my
in here and
brewery.
think I own the
Because
goddamn
he
place?
was
my
bartending
brewery,
at
boss.
Grains and Tats when he was developing
Yeah,
Transparent,
he sure
right?
was.
Yeah.
So Nolan's got a great story. You know, he's from a family of engineers, but he was a pre-med guy, and decided I like brewing better, and here we are.
Oh, I bet.
Went to brewing
Bet he's
school.
sorry now.
Did he go
Kind
to,
of.
Every once in a while.
Depends
I
on-
could have had a better life.
It depends on
and
the
still
day.
drink a lot of beer.
No, it's fun. It's funny now. So one of the mainstays, because it's almost 3 years they've been open. And shout out to Connor, who's been there for 2 years. So Connor just started going to the back, and his 2 days a week is the cellarman. But we give him shit because we're like, no, you're like more, because he's a tiny little guy. So we call him the cellar boy. So Nolan was out skiing in Utah, and he managed to do something without Nolan there. So we said, well, you're not quite a cellarman yet. You're like a cellar tween. You know, you're
Cellar tweener.
Yeah, you're pretty angsty right now. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you got that done. That's your next. So he doesn't know this, but we've come up with this whole shirt with cellar tween Connor. So
That's funny as hell.
So what's after cellar?
I mean, he might get to cellar. I mean,
Well, you got to be a teenager next.
cellar teen, tween, teen. Heard
Tween,
chef. Heard,
yeah. And then
Maybe
Cellar
maybe
Schwab.
Solomon at some
and then
point.
maybe like college, something that has to do with the fraternity or something.
Cellar undergrad.
Yeah.
Cellar freshman.
All
But
right,
this
here we
beer,
go.
and you can appreciate this, Nolan hated this beer for a long. That's why it was in the barrel for 17 months. And it was 2 different barrels.
Yeah, that smells pretty boozy.
Then finally, I was like, bro, this beer is ready to rock. And so he put the vanilla on it. He's like, okay, let's finally do it. But it's a wonderful beer.
Yeah.
I can't participate in the ABV because I know what it is. We'll let you guys decide. But the nose,
Oh man,
yeah.
is this the one
That's tasty.
that I was tasting when we were back in the brew house
Oh, like a year ago?
in November?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was still in the
Oh,
barrels.
yeah.
Yeah, like a little.
Yeah, the nose is incredible.
What kind of barrels does it say? I'm trying to.
Basil Hayden.
Oh, you, you
17
can feel that
months.
Oh,
vanilla.
that Schwill whiskey.
Goddamn swill whiskey, bro.
That's good
I
stuff.
feel like you got to
This
do
is
a beer
tasty.
called Swill. How's what's gonna
Right?
be?
Yeah.
It's you age it in Mad Dog 2020 glasses or bottles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes it swill.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
it's-
takes me back.
Unwashed, right?
if we can find those,
Right.
like the handles.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The handles, the orange flavor.
Yeah.
But no, it's mixed. All the flavors.
See, I'm
the
big on,
cuvee.
I'm big on the grape.
Yeah.
The purple drink.
Yeah, purple drink. Purple
Like
drink is mine.
Oh
they
my
made
gosh.
a grape drink for everything.
I'm a big fan of
We've
that.
got one of those in the works.
All right, well, I'm just going Leroy Jenkins on this. I'm going to say 13.2.
Leroy!
13.2.
What you got? We'll see how long it takes Mike.
Definitely getting that heat.
What's the style of beer?
It's a barrel-aged porter.
Imperial Porter.
Yeah.
Say 13.2. I think that's what
14.
Oh, okay, I heard you.
I think
We're
it's
never
got,
right. We've already established that.
Yeah, I think it's
exactly
got
right.
good booze
But I love
character.
how enthusiastic you are every time with your answer.
I know.
It's like, but this time
But look,
will
if
be
you don't go
different.
strong,
Right.
right? Like, you can't just meek it out.
Meek it out. Wow.
I'm gonna go 11-2.
Okay.
I think it's got some booze, but not
Okay.
quite that high. Although 11-2 is
Here
quite
we
high.
go. Here we go.
potential 1%.
If he does that and wins, it'll be great.
I think I missed my opportunity for that.
No, it's never too late. There's another beer that you have to open coming up, so there's that.
Can I just go ahead and go 1% on the next beer?
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
There are no, but
Thank
we told
you.
there's only 2 rules.
Finally, I'm gonna be 46 this year, and finally I get to do whatever the
Whatever the
fuck
fuck
I
you
want.
want. Not
Yes,
whatever you want,
I'll
whatever
be-
the fuck you want.
Look, your mom's not here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is take my clothes off and run around. Right now.
And neither is your father.
And then I'll give you an answer. Okay, I'll just go with.
This is so hard for you, isn't it?
It is so hard for me. It's so hard for me.
I love
Like,
it.
he's
Because
trying to figure out, like, how can I do the formula?
You have no
Because
idea.
I also know that in some of these secondary aged barrel aged beers, you don't really know how much alcohol is in it. I mean, unless you're sending it to the lab and they're telling you.
That's why I'm
You don't know
going
what
high.
you. Yeah.
and just
Right.
and just the smell of the barrel can trick you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
for sure.
It's just that I mean, Tony at Windshift did he barrel aged something. It was in a
There's a
gin
lot
barrel,
of sweetness too.
and it just
I
I
like
thought it was
that.
12%. It wasn't.
A little drink for. I miss Wind Shift.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, R.I.P. Windshift. Tony. R.I.P. Anyway, where you at, son?
Did we give him enough time?
So what did you go with? What were the other answers?
13.2. 13-4.
Mikey got 13-2. I said 11. I think I said 11-2.
I think you did say 11.
I like even numbers, so when it starts with an odd, I got to finish it with a 2.
I'll just go with 1%.
1%.
1%, Bob.
1%,
You
Drew.
know what?
Actual ABV.
Actual retail ABV, 10.5.
You got it,
You
Mikey.
got it.
Right. All right.
There you go.
All right.
Look, that's all you, bitch.
I was gonna say 10-10 because I like the
10,
sound of it. I was
You
gonna
like
say
10,
10-10. That would have won also.
Yeah, 10.5. Yeah, it's
All
pretty
right.
sneaky.
1%
But when you
gets it.
spend that much time in a barrel, I mean, here we are.
Yeah, I mean,
You've taken
I've
a lot
spent
of
that-
character. Yeah.
I've spent that much time in a barrel, and it ages, man.
Like Strange Brew style. He got lost in there.
Anybody seen Micah? I think he's back in the barrel again.
They call it a hot tub.
What was that?
So back to like this space. I mean, how often though do you get people walking in that are like, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
I mean, is
weekly
that every day?
occurrence for sure.
Daily,
Almost
weekly,
daily, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Especially when we first opened, it pulled people out of the woodwork.
I mean, because
Yeah.
this was the place, the steakhouse. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, through the 90s, Joe Posnanski would just, half his columns were, he'd mention the Golden Ox and how great it was.
I mean, we've had enough random sales guys come in here.
Really?
It's like museum dosing. He can give you a lot
I
of
get way
information.
into the history on this, again, because my mom was history and she was a librarian for a long time. So she forced me to spend a bunch of time at the Kansas City Library in the Missouri Valley room just researching the West Bottoms and the history of the Stockyards and
That's
everything. So I spent as much time as I possibly could in there. Also because there's just, as Mike has said before, just dripping with marketing potential in here.
Oh, God.
So,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So I mean, this space that we're in was built in 1951. The Golden Ox Steakhouse opened in 1949,
Man.
and this is where New York likes to claim it, but they're full of shit.
Yes.
The Kansas City Strip. The Kansas City Strip is the
social
state.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
New York Strip is like shoe
Yeah,
leather,
the New
so we
York
call it.
Strip
Right.
is the Kansas City Strip, and it started here. I mean, our back event space has seen Truman, has seen the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that have come through this space when it was the Golden Ox, presidents, anything that was important happening in Kansas
Yeah.
City made a stop at Arthur Bryant's and the Golden Ox.
Yeah, fucking yeah.
And I mean, for good reason.
Yeah.
And you know, sadly, when the livestock trade moved from centrally located areas out back to the ranches, where it made a little bit more sense, but it was also unfortunate because that's when feedlots started to come around,
Yeah.
and so it took a lot of the jobs away from downtown urban core where you could trade livestock.
Yeah.
I mean, we're connected to a 9-story building that was built for the sole purpose of trading livestock.
Right.
Like-
With a bank and a post
Yeah,
office.
there was a bank and a post
And,
office in this space.
Or as one old man developer once told me, those damn antitrust laws happened, and we all had to move out of the bottoms.
Yeah.
So sadly, when the livestock trading ended down here, the Golden Ox hit hard times as well.
Yeah.
And Kemper Arena definitely helped for a long time.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
American Royal being
Yeah,
down here
yeah.
really helped. But they closed their doors in 2014. And now our friends that own the Golden Ox and Voltaire and Moxie Catering, they're now the new owners of the Golden Ox and Voltaire still in Lemonade Park.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things to come out of COVID. You know,
Oh, God, yeah. A lot of
when
things.
COVID gives you lemons, make Lemonade Park.
Fuck yes.
Yes, that's a good one. Have they used that?
You just got to clap
Someone
for
needs to
Mikey.
be writing this
Yeah.
down.
Hey, way to go, baby.
Take that to the bank.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, if a neighborhood in Kansas City knows how to survive hard times, the West Bottoms is really one of them.
Absolutely.
Floods, fires, droughts.
But you know what's crazy about the West Bottoms? There's a lot of people you can't see who've never fucking been down here.
Oh, yeah.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
There's such it's a different
Present
vibe.
company not excluded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Come on, buddy.
wow.
Yeah, wow.
I mean,
That was a great call out.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah,
Well, you
yeah. Except for that guy.
you know, it's the sucking up. You build them up and then you
Yeah,
tear
you
them
bring
down.
'em back down,
yeah.
Maybe you do.
You know,
Maybe
it's
that's the
fair.
wrong order. Tear them down and then build them back up.
I mean, I was about to talk about like my first time at the Ox, but you know.
Yeah.
What, you were 4? What the fuck?
Was it a prom?
No. Actually, yes, there was, but that was my first time. But I did come here. Yeah. No, I think it was before a game at Kemper.
Sure.
Back in
And there have
the
been some
80s.
badass people that have rolled
Yeah.
through Kemper. Beastie
my God.
Boys, Tribe
Yeah.
Called Quest.
We went here.
Prince has
we
played
went here and
Kemper.
saw
Yeah.
Tommy
I mean,
Morrison fight when they
was
filmed the
the
Rocky
shit
movie.
back in the day. Kemper was the arena.
Yeah.
I've never actually been in there. Never been in there.
The Blades.
Boo.
Kansas
You know what?
City
You know
Kings.
what? That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm
seen the
lying.
Blades.
You know what? The Comets.
Okay.
Yeah,
the old
Comets, there we
Comets.
go.
Because my brother played for the Wichita Wings, and they would come up. Because I lived here in the '90s, and I left and I came
Yeah,
back.
that was still late 90s.
So yeah. So
When
yeah,
did
that-
I forgot I'd been in there. I just don't remember.
Oh,
It's been
because
so long
when they
ago.
tried to relaunch, they were here. They were back when they tried to relaunch that league.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Didn't
What
go
was
so
that? The
well.
MISL.
Didn't go so well.
It's fine. The missile league. It's fine.
So yeah,
Shout out to my
the
brother.
Blades were a blast too. But the
Blades were great.
Comets of the '80s were awesome.
And the Blades
Yeah.
were IHL. I think that was their league. They were champs for like numerous years.
Oh yeah.
Turner Cup champs.
I remember that I was at the airport one time, and the Blades. This is my only hockey claim to fame story. The Blades were coming back to town as I was leaving town, and I hung out with the Blades at one of the bars at the airport.
Here's what I remember most about the Blades.
One of the
was
bars
they
you mean
had
the bar.
at one
Yeah,
point they
that
had
one
like
bar.
Yeah,
one
at that time
players
there was
left.
one bar.
Yeah.
The two players left who could still play without a helmet.
Oh,
I don't
right,
remember
yeah,
who
yeah,
the two old
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure they're still kicking.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the beer selection. So it's grown. You know,
Yeah.
obviously Cerveza, Black IPA have been a thing.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, the core brands were before Cerveza.
Were
because
it?
we didn't launch with Cerveza in the beginning.
Oh no, it was
We
Foxtrot.
the
Foxtrotter? Was that one of
Foxtrotter
the
was
originals?
one of the core brands. The Black IPA,
Yeah.
Hefeweizen was one of the first,
Saison was
and
one.
then Saison.
Well, I'm going by. I remember the color. Like there was the brown one.
Yeah.
What is the triple fleek?
So the triple fleek.
Is it on fleek?
Apparently.
That's how it came to be.
Is
on
fleek still,
fleek
is fleek still a word?
times 3.
Is that still a thing? Being on fleek?
No, but that's why it's dated at 2019.
19.
But it was a thing.
I
then.
love it.
But all of the hip words I know I learned from my kids. So we're not ones to brew a lot of trendy beers. We don't really chase trends.
Right.
We
Yeah, you
try
guys
to
have
establish.
never done like a hazy.
Right. We have, but
I don't remember
for
it.
it was
For how long?
for a benefit.
That's my point. I've
yeah.
never go, oh, let me get that hazy IPA.
Yeah.
That's not what happens in Stockyards.
So once we did a hazy and a juicy, and they were kind of both hazy and juicy.
Hey,
but
he sounds like, and we're not doing that again.
actually,
Multiple people said it was the best hazy in town.
yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, heard.
And,
there's
and
no
when we
doubt about
brewed it,
that.
I'm like, okay, I've never brewed on these before, so I'm like, what's the secret here? I'm asking a couple people around town, and they're like, well, you got to do this, and you got to do this, you got to do this, and I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll just,
You're like, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. Seems like a lot of hard work for a
Is
little
Is that yeah, no, or
You know,
no,
my-
yeah?
Is that like,
He's
is
gotta
anybody
pee, but
really
if you
going to be
gotta
able
pee,
to tell?
you gotta
Is he-
bring beer.
oh, he should have taken the mic with him.
Give us a live up to date. I
Wouldn't be the
guess.
first time. So anyway, we talked about that, and they're like, "You got to do all this," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Maybe we will," but we didn't. And then we had numerous people tell us it was the best hazy or the best juicy they'd ever tasted.
It's very drinkable.
But regardless, we've never been
make-
one to chase trends. What we did, and we haven't done a lot of collaborations. Not because we don't want to, but because we haven't really had the time while trying to build these core brands and with our distribution and with everything else going on in the direction we've been going. But City Barrel said, hey, you guys want to do a Brute IPA? And I'm like, that sounds stupid. Let's do it.
That's my favorite idea.
Another style.
Just
that
so
I was
dumb
like,
it might
I'm
work.
good, I'm
Yeah, but I mean, I was a little more into that because I liked the dryness factor of
good.
it.
Sure, but you don't want to drink a bunch of them.
Right. So we did one and we named it Gucci Brute because at that time the kids were like, oh, that's so Gucci. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, that's,
It's the word on the
when
street.
something's
Word on the street.
when something's super cool and it's like
Yeah,
has
yeah.
to be relevant at the
Yeah.
time, right? So we named that one Gucci Brute, and then Triple Fleek was the answer to that, and it was, or the second iteration, and it was basically a brewed IPA crossed with a Belgian Tripel.
What the fuck?
And
How the hell do you?
It's
I
alive.
don't know how to describe
It's
that.
alive.
just like I did.
Did y'all brew that in the middle of the fucking night?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Like it was Frankenstein? Ah!
exactly.
Like
you know? Just tell me I
that's
can't do it. I mean, we got an Imperial Kolschan, also something that nobody's ever really done before.
The cowboy?
Cowboy Cone.
Cowboy
yeah.
Cone, yeah.
Imperial Coast. We got to have that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. So what do you
delicious.
love brewing? Like what is your love of
The
I want to
thing
make
is,
this?
I love brewing, and it doesn't really matter what it is.
Oh, I love
You
that
know-
they fucking cheers on that.
Because,
You know what? You're a fucking gentleman and a scholar, not in that order.
I mean,
Uh-oh, what did we just do?
That's the triple.
That's right. That's right.
And you brought me a set. Hey! You can't have. You brought those to me.
you know,
Bitch.
Wow. Gotcha, bitch.
ooh, it's getting feisty in here.
That's right. Look, we're an hour in. That's what happens.
That's right. The cuffs are coming off, or the gloves
So
are
this
coming off.
this is the on
cuffs are about to
fleek.
go on, probably.
Yeah. You said the
Take
cuffs?
me in.
Yeah.
Just take me in.
I feel like his cuffs would be like furry cuffs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Is there a problem with
I
that?
got some of those in it.
I got those from Mora a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So is this the on fleek?
Ours would have like a
I think
a
that
cow
is that the
skin,
cowboy
cowhide.
Cone,
Ooh, I
or is
like
that
it.
the Fleek?
Is this the
I
fleek?
think that's the fleek. That's the triple fleek.
The nose is great.
So it's aged a bit, obviously.
Been aging
So
for like
that's
4
tasty.
years. Yeah.
It was different when it first came out. There was
That's-
a bigger hop character.
No,
That's tasty beer.
It's definitely like the crossover.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I like it.
Yeah, it's different. It's okay.
No,
to
it's
say
different,
That.
but-
It's okay to say that.
No, if
I
it
like
sucked,
that.
I would say.
Yeah.
But the beer doesn't suck though.
Well, and it's so clean that it's just kind of doing its thing. Like
Yeah.
it's in a safe space to
Yeah, yeah,
It
there's
should
a
have
little
safe
something at the
space
end.
to do
yeah,
its thing.
you know.
That's what this place is. It's a safe space.
That's actually really nice.
Is there something almost floral at the end?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that Belgian shit.
Is
What
that
was the
Is that what that
What was
is?
the hop schedule on that? I don't remember.
hop schedule?
I can't
What is
say
that? You
that
got hops
far.
on the calendar?
Talking pre-COVID?
Yeah.
You think we wrote this
damn.
down?
Hot
You think we
damn.
wrote it down?
That's 9-7? Is that the on fleek?
Is that your guess?
I think
is that your guess?
we've renamed the beer on fleek, by the way.
Well, it's 2019 fleek.
Yes.
Because you don't say fleek anymore.
So it's off fleek.
That's a different,
awful.
that's a different decade.
It's off fleek. Yes.
I mean, my teenager, every time I try to use whatever a hip word is, no.
What are the hip words
He just looks at me and says
On
no.
cap, right? Isn't that on cap? Isn't that one?
No, just cap.
Just cap.
Cap.
Oh, that,
Okay.
Oh, that's cap.
Use that in a sentence.
You say
Or is that no cap?
you say that Cerveza Royale is not the best beer in the city, and I say, oh, that's cap, bro.
That's
I
cap.
haven't heard
That's
that
cap,
one.
meaning you're lying.
Hey,
That's a lie.
I'm so
That's
lost.
a lie.
Yeah,
Cap
I'm a
means
father of a
cap
teenager,
is,
so
cap
I'm
is a
sure
lie.
she
Yeah.
Cap
eat
means
me
you're lying.
alive.
Is that just a thing that as we near the number 5, like we just don't know what the words mean anymore?
is it on cap or just cap?
No, it's just cap. I think there was. I think there was a. No cap means no line.
Pass
Why
it
you
around.
hand that? Oh, her.
But
It's his time.
I mean, my kids anyway just say, "Oh, that's cap," or yeah, meaning that's a lie.
We got ourselves
Yeah.
a new beer to brew.
Enough of the
apparently.
words. Let's talk about how did the airport location happen? Who
You want
who
the
did
you want
what?
the real story? Or?
No, I want the dirty story.
Let's
Well-
set up a little bit. Kansas City has a
Will you-
A new airport,
Will
which
you,
I've never
will you
been to.
bleep out a certain brewery name? No, we won't. We won't give that. We won't give
And
that rendition.
at the airport, there was a process where they have a lot of local.
And I get
Stuff
that,
there.
but for that to happen, for the airport to be like, you know what, whoever's doing that, maybe we should make it a fucking local thing, because what was up there before was some bullshit. Let's keep it real.
Go ahead.
And half the shit up there was never open, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't been to the new airport. I hear it. It sucks, but it's
It
great.
doesn't suck. It's pretty damn good.
Well, I guess
I mean, it's fantastic.
No, I'm talking about
It's
once you get inside, it's great.
I've
if
only
you're on
dropped
the
people
outside-
off. I've not been in it yet.
Because people,
Okay, so-
don't know anything about cell
Pro-
phone lots.
Right.
Pro tip.
Yeah.
Pro tip. Then,
Pro tip.
if you're going to pick somebody up at the airport, don't go to the pickup. Go to the drop-off.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, heard, Chef.
Because there's long lines on the lower level, which is where you do pickup and baggage claim and
Yeah,
arrivals
yeah.
and everything. Go to departures, especially if it's late at night. There's no more departures, so that top level is
Oh.
empty.
Look, you guys hear that?
Airport life hacks.
I don't
Life
know if
hack.
that should go on the podcast. That's some valuable information right there. Next thing you know, departures is fucking bad.
You guys just
Thanks,
lost your
Greg
airport
Plant.
license.
Yeah, right. They're like, and Stockyards no longer has a tap room there.
So anyway,
But I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
They really made a focused effort to get local restaurants
Yeah.
and breweries there.
Yeah.
How did you guys get in on it?
It was a lot of work, and as soon as the new airport was announced and approved by City Council, you know, everybody was vying for an opportunity to be in there because it was going to be the single largest infrastructure project in Kansas City history. From a building perspective and from a financial tax revenue
Wow.
and just overall business revenue perspective. $1.5 billion just to build the damn thing, and then contract with a concessions group for 15 to 20 years.
this is
worth
where
more
your
than $1 billion.
business side shit came in. When
Yeah.
you went to brew school. He's like, I've been waiting for this opportunity. I'm ready.
Right.
You gotta stay ready to be ready, right?
Well, and one thing that we really pride ourselves on is that, you know, we are not just a beer company. Beer is by far the most important thing that we do, but our culture, our brand, our awareness, and our history in this space builds us to be larger than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people will think that we are a massive, mega, like,
We've got that.
regional brewery.
We've got BBE, Big Brewery Energy.
Yeah, we do.
Phrasing.
Nah,
That's not phrasing.
Just let it out.
Just let it.
you gotta whip it out.
Yeah. Oh, we do. We lay it on the table.
And so from our website, from our branding,
Yeah.
from our social presence, you know, we push ourselves as bigger than we are.
Yeah.
And it shows and it works.
Yeah, perception is reality.
Yeah, and a group that was working to be the concessions management and the overall airport management group approached us
Oh.
through a mutual friend, actually, Pete Doolin.
Oh, I love Pete.
Yeah, shout out to Pete Doolin,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Pete D.
He's
Yeah.
been,
Hot damn.
he's been on the pod.
Good,
Pete's
good.
Pete's a badass motherfucker.
He's a great
Pete is
guy.
great.
Yeah.
And so
And
Pete
super
early
fucking
on
nice.
was working with this concessions group, and they asked him, like, hey, what breweries in town do you think represent Kansas City well?
Wow. I
And then
did
we
not-
can push into the airport.
He didn't tell us this story when he was on the podcast. Wait till I see that motherfucker.
And so Pete...
Because then all the other breweries are gonna be like, "Why didn't you say us?"
Yeah,
no
exactly.
shit. Pete's good at that, too. Pete's very good at getting around to everybody and showing his
Maybe
love.
Pete can get us an RV.
You need
We
an
need you,
RV?
buddy. Hey, Pete.
Well, we're trying.
Pete, if you're out there, Pete,
Pete, is that
if
you?
you're
Is that
listening.
you, Pete? No, I digress. We're trying to get, so Barrel and Flow is a big beer festival we go to every
And
year.
I have a dream.
It's in.
I want to roll Madden style.
It's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Do you not like to fly?
No, we just like to drive.
I
We've
just
flown.
want to roll Madden style to the festival.
Bro.
Oh, we love that town.
So
Is
we-
Barrel and Flow
I'm in. I'm in.
Is
I'll go.
Vine Street going to that one?
Yes.
Yeah, right on.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Vine Street about to get
we're
fucked.
supposed to be taking their beers,
Well, they're opening Friday.
Friday.
which is like
They
the
might not
weirdest
be
opening
going.
announcement.
Hold on, when is this?
What happened to Friction? Friction this past weekend got fucked.
But they opened. They're open.
But they're exhausted.
Well, sure, that
And
happens.
That
Vine
comes
Street-
with the territory.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Still exhausted. 7 years later, still exhausted.
like this is just life.
Speaking of, it's my nap time.
Brewery life.
You're like, goddamn it. 7 years later, we're still fucked up.
Still exhausted.
But anyway, back to your airport
Okay.
story.
Yeah. So a concessions group and an airport management group, after Pete recommended us, they reached out to us. We thought it was a long shot. We were like, yeah, sure, let's have this conversation.
Yeah.
But we all know you're going to pick the big dog in town, they who shall not be named.
As soon as
Never heard of them.
as soon
Right.
as the contract money starts getting offered, you know, that's when it's like you got to pay to play, and
Right.
And
Oh,
that's
is that how it works?
I mean, in most worlds, and,
Right.
and ours is not exempt from that. People are like, why aren't you in the stadium, or why aren't you in there? And it's
Yeah,
like,
well, that's
we
yeah.
don't have
Yeah, that's a whole
that
different-
kind
Yeah,
of
we've
money.
heard those stories.
Yeah,
We don't
get
have
me
that kind
started
of
on
money
that
to throw
bullshit.
at it, right? So we're like, when pigs fly, that's when this is gonna
When
happen.
pigs fly.
Yeah, and here we are. Oink, oink,
Well, I mean, you
oink.
got a pig for a logo, so
That's right.
Yeah, and now we're in an airport.
and you
Pigs
fly like a
fly.
motherfucker.
Pigs are flying. Yeah.
Whoa.
That
Whoa.
was you. That was you. Easy.
No.
Why you fucking with Mikey's camera?
I don't think that was me.
I said I wasn't gonna jump. I jumped. I'm sorry.
He's just getting excited.
But I mean, like all big industrial projects in a big city,
Yeah.
politics. So we spent a bunch of time working with this group and putting together portfolios and images and a presentation to show. And we were joined by a bunch of great restaurants and other establishments around Kansas City, all
Yeah.
from a local perspective.
Yeah.
We showed up to every city council
As
meeting
you should.
to push and promote ourselves and the group that we were connected with. And I mean, it came down to the last minute vote where they had to call Quentin Lucas, who was in New York, and pull him in to make the final vote to decide what concession group and what airport management group was going to win.
Because this is the thing about city government. I worked for Lee's Summit City Government for a long time. Generally, the people on council don't know shit about shit.
Word.
I can't make that. I can't make that up.
You're not wrong.
Look,
just
I mean-
bring the bottle.
And
as a lifelong reporter,
and I've got a quick story. So, shout out to Goat Brewing in Lee Summit. One dude on the council, who's Mormon. I like Mormons. He's a Mormon. Recovering. Not Mormon.
Independence brand.
You drink
Independence.
alcohol.
It was the Independence
So,
brand.
so
We're a little
this
you're
dude-
different.
closer to Eden
So this
then.
dude didn't drink alcohol, and he would vote no. And if you know where the Goat Brewing is, he was worried about the neighborhood. I'm like, bitch, you're a lawyer. You don't even live in the neighborhood. And so I worked for city government for 12 years. I'm like, a lot of people who would fuss about what you're talking about, I'm like, you have no stake in that. Why are you voting no? You don't even fucking drink. You're probably drinking Michelob Ultras.
You've probably never been in that neighborhood.
And probably drinking Ultras.
Well, you got to
Anything
you
that's
can't
beer.
let.
Or not drinking anything at all.
Well, he doesn't drink
But
anything.
I think
Yeah.
the fear is really you don't want to let the pores get too near the alcohol.
Well, right. Because then,
I say that
society
out
just
loud?
takes a big...
You said that.
Dude. Oh, okay.
That's coming on the podcast. Sorry, Mormon underwear. Sorry.
And you know what I meant by pores.
So to your point. Smart move to go to all the things because you build that rapport, and I feel like Quentin Lucas is. Last time I was at Lemonade Park, who was over there? Fucking Quentin Lucas.
Yep.
He
You know
comes
what I'm
out, he shows support
Yeah,
for the neighborhood.
he's a
which
real
is
motherfucker.
great. Yeah, he is.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about another marriage.
Are we going to talk about Funkhauser?
Like we can turn off the switch and tell stories later.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, what's his face just ran again? Chastain.
Clay Chastain?
Bro, he was running in '92. What
Right.
the fuck, bro? Go away.
Well, and
He
he
still
was
lives
trying,
in
he was
Virginia.
trying to push the light rail from half a country away.
What a Anyway, I was about to get. There's a soapbox right there. I see it. I'm not gonna get on it.
Respect due to OHM concession. So
Yes.
they had lost, as we were told, they had lost out on a bid because they didn't go local, and they lost to a group that had gone local, and that hadn't been a focus for them so much in the past. In the more recent past, they shifted that and started doing local focus, and and we were
Is that
skeptical.
who's running it up there?
Yeah, OHM concession
Okay.
group. Yeah, and we were skeptical because of that. You got to pay to play, and eventually it's like, you entertain that idea, but as we know from most big companies, they tell you a lot of things, and then they do exactly what they normally do. But they stuck to that, and they kept it hyper local focused.
That's awesome.
And they stayed with us. They came to our brewery a few times, and were like, "You're gonna make enough beer out of this brewery?" And we're like, "We got it. We got this." And they believed in us, and they stuck with us, and they took so many elements of this tap room and of our brand and incorporated it into that airport bar. I mean, it's gorgeous.
How many beers you guys have up there?
We've got almost the whole lineup.
Wow.
No shit.
Okay, so how big is your
Yeah.
system? I mean, how are you keeping up?
That's a personal question.
This is why we're
How long
exhausted.
is your system?
It's been big enough. What the fuck, bro?
I haven't had any
My
complaints
wife
yet.
says it's just right.
I haven't had any complaints yet.
No complaints yet.
This is why we're exhausted.
Yeah.
This is why we're exhausted.
Yep.
Because we continually
Have to
think we
brew.
can't do more, and then we continually
You have to.
do more and just
Yeah,
keep
squeeze
cranking it
out a little bit
and-
more each
Phrasing.
time.
Phrasing.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're milking it for all it's worth.
He's going. He's doubling down on the phrasing.
So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then that what year was that? 20
That was
late.
either late 18 or early 19 when we started talking with them.
But what
Really?
was it?
It was that long ago.
Oh yeah, this was a long run in the process to
Wow.
because they approved it in early 18.
No, I mean we knew about it for a while, and we didn't really talk about it much because we were like, we don't want to jinx it,
Yeah.
but we also don't want to get
Yeah.
too excited and get super
Yeah,
disappointed.
and they'd be like, doesn't happen
so we
yet.
it just kind of was there, and we just kind of, we did everything we could to like nurture it, but at the same time we're like, it's not for sure thing.
Right. And I think the final vote wasn't until 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mid or early 21 was when the final city council vote was made, and then the airport had to be open and everything had to be done
Yeah.
by March of 23.
Yeah.
There was that moment in, I think it was 21. The same week, we found out the airport was happening. We found out we had a lock on our second location for a production packaging facility, and we got named the Small Business of the Year by the KCK Chamber in the same week, and we were just
That
like,
was a big week.
we were like, whoa, okay, here we go.
Really?
Shit just got real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man, you should have been at that. You should have been at that party because we.
That was a party.
Was
We
that
nailed
was
it.
that the Natter
Was that the
Days?
Natter Day party?
Nah,
No.
we don't really want to talk about Natter Day party.
So-
There's a certain organization that might come looking for.
So we got the airport, right? And
We got it.
There's another location?
Yeah, so we've known for a long time that Cerveza Royale was going to be the big shit that it is. As humble as we are about this beer.
I've got it.
Got that BBE.
Got that BBE.
I feel like that needs to be a T-shirt.
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah,
Or a beer. Or a beer.
or both.
Yeah.
The notorious BBE.
We knew that there was
No,
probably going
that's
to be an
already a-
opportunity and a time when we were going to run out of capacity here in the West Bottoms. And so we spent years looking for other locations to build a larger facility. And Micah, having the background and the connections he had from Gordon Biersch, we were able to buy and acquire the old Gordon Biersch downtown brewing locations, all brewing facility. So we bought all of their equipment.
Where was that?
Power and Light.
County Road Ice House or whatever it's called now.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
right
one of
next
the largest
to the
breweries in
stage.
Kansas City.
Wow.
You were cranking out more beer than almost like only Boulevard
Yeah.
and Free State were really making more beer than you at that
when
time.
was the Gordon Biersch here?
When P&L first opened.
From
Oh, yeah.
2007, right?
Yeah.
When the Power and Light opened, 2007 to.
They were one of the last of the
2017, I
originals
think.
to go, right?
It was 2017 because they had a 10-year lease.
So
and
2017.
The Cordish Group is
I never
one of
went
the
there.
worst evil empires that you
Oh,
can
yeah,
try to work
absolutely.
with.
Oh, they're terrible.
So GB was ready to cut those ties, and that was on a 10-year lease. So 2017, that lease ended, and they closed that. I had left there in 16, right before we opened this place. But I had been consulting here prior to that, and when they closed Gordon Biersch, I was like, nobody else knew they were closing. I had an inside scoop, obviously. And I was like, Greg, let's buy this system. Nobody even knows it's available.
Yeah.
So we swooped in, and I was like, hey, how much for it? And they threw a number out there, and
How big
I
of a
was like,
system were they brewing?
It's a 30-barrel brew house with
shit.
six 60-barrel fermenters.
Wow.
We had 7 60-barrel serving tanks.
Kind of what you need.
Yeah, exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Exactly what we needed, really. And they threw a number out there, and we were like, "Oh, are you sure? Okay." And
We
then when
countered like 5,000 less than what they said, and they were like, "Okay,
yeah.
fine."
And then I went back a week later, and I was like, "We want to make moves on this," and they were like, "Oh, you're serious?"
Oh, they didn't think you were
They're like-
serious.
They thought we were just curious, I think, or like maybe hopeful, or just kind of like
Yeah.
playing with the idea. And we were like, we want to make moves on this. So that equipment set has been sitting in storage this whole time for.
And it's going
Coming
where?
on 6 years now.
It's stood up now out at 103rd Street near 69 Highway.
On the
park.
Kansas side.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes
wow.
side, yeah. So now
So
we'll have
it's just a production facility?
eventually we'll have a tap room. We'll grow into having a tap room, but the first mode of business is make more beer.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the airport. 'Cause
Yeah,
how's
exactly.
How's that
Yeah.
going? Like
They're
churning
moving a lot of
beer.
beer.
Are they?
Yeah, they're
Tons.
turning through some beer.
Yeah, we have an amazing location in there, and then we have basically all of these beers on tap there at our location. But then we've also got beer on tap and in cans throughout the airport as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a
So it's
blank.
not just one spot in the
No,
airport.
but that one spot is undoubtedly Stockyards. I mean,
Yep.
you see it and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is Stockyards. They took so much of this woodwork and
Yeah, they flew in architects and their engineers and their team and their marketing team
And they just replicated.
to come
I mean,
walk
they
through
make-
our
it's
space.
Well,
And the
it's a
most
very
important thing
modern
that we
version.
wanted, we were like, don't make a caricature of this. Like, this space is iconic, Kansas City.
Yeah.
You can't just replicate
catch.
it as shit. and they didn't.
And that's
they
got to
did
be
an
hard to
incredible
do,
job.
to take it to a modern
right.
airport like that.
Yeah.
Take this and not make it
We were
a
a little
cartoon.
nervous about that,
Yeah, for sure.
but I mean, they nailed it.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where did Mikey go?
We
Oh,
lost
you know what?
it.
It's your turn anyway.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
got to dig in. It's mystery beer time.
Is it?
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Bree, sing
Oh.
for us. Mystery beers. Mystery beers. He was pretty good there.
That was good.
Thanks. You want me to do some sample spots for
Well, this
you?
one's a crowler, so yeah, you can. Yeah, if you want to do like some drops for us, we'll take them.
Yeah.
Bree, you've
Oh,
been.
what was
drop
that?
it.
Bree,
what was
you
that
got
one
competition.
podcast we
You got
did?
competition.
Juice
Bree.
Box Boys.
Oh,
here
know
it
Bree
comes.
Burrow?
I
Yeah,
know the
you
Juice
know
Box
those guys.
Boys.
Yeah, the
yeah.
Juice Box Boys.
Wait, he reaches in the mystery bag and he shows back up.
What do you know?
There's only one beer left in there. It's a crowler.
Yeah, but he's got to make it
That is
exciting.
not it.
That's not a beer.
It's a smack pack beer.
Not drink that.
That's a Capri Sun.
It's very old. There you go.
Oh, a little. Is that the last?
Diametric, my favorite.
Is that the last of their big cans?
No, that's what
Oh.
they do.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the crowler.
Conveniently, the ABV
It's
is
not on there.
is smudged out.
Oh, nice.
I don't even know where the fuck that beer came from. It was in my refrigerator.
How old is this beer?
Yes.
2020.
Yeah, we can't be judging old
I've
ass
got
beers.
a month and a day, but no year.
No, it's recent, but I think somebody bought it, came to my house, and left it. Oops.
That
Sucks this up.
happens. That happens.
Going to the mystery beer bag.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, oh yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the Anyway Shake.
We need a blue light.
Oh, I
Anyway
love.
Shake, can
I
you read
love
it?
the Anyway Shake.
Anyway, shake peach.
Yeah, it's a peach.
That's one of my
So
favorites.
they do that series. Their IPAs, the fruited IPAs. It's a peach
okay.
Am I
one.
supposed to shake it first? Oh, they
Probably,
mean milkshake.
probably not, unless you're gonna play like.
Do you think those guys
the,
shake
the,
it a lot?
The beer hunter. Yeah, I just saw that. Heard.
Well, they've got it full.
Oh, it's full as a motherfucker. Wow. You're gonna spill that first piece, aren't you? Oh, look at you with those skills.
Just a drop
Oh, it's hazy.
from my homies.
I really like their Anyway Shake series.
Yeah, their series is yeah.
Old Devin down there, he knows how to wash a keg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know Devin down there. That's
Devin does
right.
it.
The old keg wrangler down here in the
The
bottoms.
Keg Wrangler. Beer name.
Is that a
He's
title?
Second to none.
That's a title.
And is that a good title?
Yeah, that was a former
Damn
title.
right it is.
Now I'm the swing
I
rider.
mean, that to me, that's a perfect Stockyards beer. Keg Wrangler.
Yeah.
The
Man.
graphics could be great.
We've got
Right? You know, trying to lasso a
we got a
keg.
whole slip. I guess you guys can have some more. I'll give you some.
I mean, it's a 750.
We can't really tell how strong it is, so.
Whoa.
Smells fun. That's what she said.
Whoa. Whoa.
There's some peach in that for sure.
I'm passing around.
Peachy.
Is it actual peach or is it apricot?
You know, that's a good question. I did not
That's a
query
great
them.
question. That's a great question, Greg.
Somebody's have to look that shit
Greg
up.
will ask the tough question.
Is that a tough question?
Is that his role as majority owner?
Yeah.
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
I'm working on this new recipe.
No.
Is it really?
No, it's more like, what do you guys want for lunch today? And then
Pizza?
you see my indecisiveness. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, 2 hours later, we're like, do we order lunch? Like, Micah hasn't decided.
Let me work up my spreadsheet. What have I had the last 12 months? I feel like
There must be a glitch. It says pizza is like 85%.
Cheers, boys.
I've had ox 27% of the year.
Yeah.
How often are you ordering a steak
A steak?
from next door?
How often do people try to order steak from us? That's
Yes,
Yeah.
I like it.
Better question.
People still
once a
walk
day.
in and ask
Pretty
for a
often.
steak.
Once a day.
Do you have a deal? Do you have any kind of arrangement?
No, but what we do have is a lot of people coming in being like, "Oh, can we help you?" And they're like, "No, we're good." And we're like, "Are you? Where you going?" "Oh yeah, we're going to Golden Ox." "Well, you're at Stockyards," and they're like,
I know that.
Would you like a beer?
"Like I know what I'm doing." Like we had one guy like walk back here and he tried to go through this door and he's like, "I know there's like no you don't know, no you don't know."
My
We get that
favorite
a lot.
person that we've had come in was eating over at the Golden Ox, and our bathrooms used to be the only bathrooms for the Golden Ox.
Oh.
So some people still remember that as being
Oh,
the only
yeah, yeah.
bathroom.
So they
So
come
he
over.
would get up from his table and he would come over here and he would use the restroom. And finally, one of our bartenders was like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And he was like, "While I'm here, I'll give me a beer and a shot." And we're like, "Okay, sure." So gave him a beer, gave him a shot, chugged the beer, took the shot, went back over, sat down, continued eating dinner.
Finished his dinner, yeah.
About 10 minutes later, got back up, came over, he's like, "Why don't you give me another shot?" And we're like, "Yeah, okay, you're here to
became a
party."
thing.
He's like, "What are you not telling everybody else that's sitting at your table
Right.
while you're coming over here and taking
I'm going
shots?"
to the bathroom.
Right. They do have their own bathrooms now. by
That
the
is
way.
a great way to go to a steakhouse, though. Is like sneak out for a shot,
Yeah, there's a brewery next door.
come back.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I got meat questions for you, bro.
Meat?
Meat questions.
Meat candy.
Hey, that's a little personal, isn't it?
Yeah,
Goddamn right it is. It's not
Okay.
This is the part of the show where we talk about your meat.
Talk about BBE.
Hey, let's do
Now,
it.
you're a cattle guy. What's your favorite cut of like beef?
Oh, your favorite cut of meat?
Because he's a meat snob,
Oh, all right.
aren't you?
Lucky you.
Once you've had the best.
Wow.
My favorite cut of meat is probably the hot dog.
That's not a cut.
It's a shape.
I mean, it's a fair answer, except it's not a cut.
Just the lips and the ass.
You have no idea.
I love some asshole shoved into a casing.
You have. You know what? You have no idea.
Delicious.
Nick loves to do these little these reels. That's going to end up on
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's true.
a reel. He loves the funny reels. Thank you for
Ask
that.
Mikey what his favorite cut is.
What's your favorite cut, Mikey?
Well, that's funny because I don't eat meat and
Crazy.
I'm vegetarian. So
I'm sorry.
If you had a fake piece of meat,
I mean,
what would
I
it
don't
okay,
understand
so-
picky and an
so
human
our,
being.
so
the
our
shape
our family used to run a barbecue restaurant. So I'm not foreign to
Is that what-
to pulling the membrane off of the
Is
off
that
of the
what
ribs.
turned you
No, I didn't eat meat before that. which is really funny. But man, I tell you what, I don't know, maybe some locally
Mikey
raised.
claims he's never eaten meat before that.
You went in like you were calling the cops.
I heard that.
I got a
was not
code
on-
12-7.
not on
I got a code
close.
12619er. Mike
187.
claims he's never
Want some meat?
eaten meat before that.
I'd say while we're at it, some locally raised ostrich. Why not?
Where? Who's eating it? Where the fuck is
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's serving ostrich locally?
That was a wild card. That was the wild card there.
It's out there.
Yeah.
Ostrich medallions, delicious.
I'd say some baby back ribs. I mean, going chili
Never had
style.
ostrich
You know?
No.
What?
All right, wait.
Where are you finding ostrich?
Well, the last time
Local
I had
pig?
it was
Local pig is not local ostrich.
Didn't
time
Kevin
I had it
Apier
was
used to
the
raise
Pachamama's
ostrich?
location in Lawrence.
Really?
And it was
I've never had it.
Didn't the old Royals pitcher Kevin Apier, didn't he raise ostrich? I mean, he was a weird
See,
cat.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why you need a wild card that doesn't eat meat. You're
That's right.
Injecting this knowledge. And
He had an
so-
alpaca farm, right?
What is your
I'll tell you what. Okay, so Farm to
You know,
Market Bread
I-
Company
I
had
go
a,
back and forth. I
Fred-
go vegetarian.
When
I
a
go
vegetarian
vegan.
goes crazy, what does a vegetarian order?
Bacon.
Pizza rolls. No, actually, we were,
Bacon
up
wrap
in,
pizza rolls.
turkey bacon.
we were up in
That sounds delicious.
Minneapolis, and we were going pretty hard in the paint. And I was like, yeah, some pork belly. I could go for that. Sure, yeah, I'll eat some pork belly. And that did not go very well. Had to go for the old puking rally after that. So I was like,
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I love me some belly, but
yeah.
that's a lot
For someone that
that's a lot
doesn't
of
eat
pig
meat,
fat
yeah.
for somebody who
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
eat meat.
Yeah, that's
I went for the old college try there, and was just like, you know, here we
How long ago
go.
was
I
that?
mean,
Here we go.
I mean, as a Montana guy,
here's to the
if
courage.
you could only pick
Here's
one
to
animal.
Here's to the courage it took for this guy to do that.
When was this?
This was
Was it?
21
blurring
maybe?
together.
A couple
Years
years
ago?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
21.
it's 21 years
No,
ago.
recently.
It was probably
It was the
around
summer. It was the summer before COVID, so it was 2019.
2019.
And who tricked you into doing that?
Nobody.
Himself.
I had
The weed,
had a
probably.
couple mystery
said the
beers before that.
You had a couple mystery beers before that?
So I was,
And some shots.
It was
yeah,
probably that
I
goddamn.
had,
It was
had a
was
lot
on
of
fleek.
had a lot of liquid courage leading up to
Yeah.
that point. It was kind of like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just go for it.
In
Yeah.
fact, meat was
And,
probably the only thing you didn't have before that.
So as a Montana guy, like a
Hi-yo.
ranch farm guy, if you're only gonna have one animal to eat for the rest of your life, what are you choosing?
Pork.
Yeah, I'm going pig.
It's got to be pig, right? Most
Yeah, yeah.
versatile flesh there is,
I mean,
It is delicious.
and also belly.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard the term from the rooter to the tutor?
sure.
Gonna eat it all, baby.
You eat. Yeah, there's motherfuckers that.
I've never heard that.
Well,
actually.
there's people out there eating
you
pig
guys have
snout,
heard that?
pigtail.
Rooter to the tutor?
Oh yeah, you want to eat the whole
Oh
animal?
yeah, I've been like,
Big
what about
snout.
you guys? Oh
Pig
yeah.
snout. Yeah,
Tenderloin grill and that snoot sandwich. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
eating that. Yeah.
Really? No, it's good.
The snoot sandwich?
Yes.
You are lying
fuck
to
that.
yourself and
No.
everybody else.
And everybody here.
I'm not down with that. There's certain times
Why
I
are
eat meat.
you not?
I'm
You
like,
gotta
no.
eat all the pig, baby. It's all
Yeah, that's
good.
why they put it
No,
in
you
hot
don't.
dogs.
No, you don't.
Why are you gonna let
No, you
that?
actually don't,
Why are you gonna disrespect that animal?
bro.
That's why hot dogs
Yeah,
exist.
real question. Let's see if let's
Okay,
see
okay.
if he's real. You eat chitlins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Of course he does.
Yeah, I'm into that.
You motherfuckers are crazy.
I got another real question for you. Okay,
Fuck that
you're on
bullshit.
a fucking snowy mountain, plane crashed, everybody's dying. You gotta eat a person. You gotta eat them all. What are you eating first? What are you eating last?
Oh, ass meat for sure.
Okay.
Is first
he's
or
eating-
last?
It
Wait,
depends.
you start.
No,
He
it
says he's
depends
eating
how
ass
athletic you
first.
are.
Going straight for the
I have
ass
this- I have this
first?
conversation all the time. I've got a friend of
Well, I
mine.
gotta tell you, here's the problem though, because there are people like me who are ass challenged.
We're
I'm
not
not
eating
giving
your
you-
ass. Okay? I'm talking about, so I got a friend of mine, she's a marathoner.
He did say
I
I'm
was
eating
like,
ass
she's got
very
that lean
quickly.
meat. I'm like, we go down in the Andes, you're first.
I mean, I feel like calf probably is the good
A
way.
good
to go.
calf?
Yeah,
There's no way the
calf.
marathon person is going down first.
But you're gonna eat
know
all
what,
of the
fair point.
animals out of respect.
Fair point.
Well, I mean, look, I want to stay alive. At that point,
Okay.
it's not about respect.
Okay.
I feel like if we
At
eat,
that point,
Are they-
if Nigel and I wreck in a mountain, he's dead.
no,
Because I'm
I
going to stay alive.
feel like if we all go down, phrasing, five of us, and it's four of us, and it's Nick. Gotta get some fat and some meat. You got plenty.
It's true. I mean, but look, I'm not going down without a fight.
You're gonna be dead, bitch, and frozen. If you've not
I'm
seen
gonna
the
go.
movie,
I'm gonna eat
your
the
ass.
flat cap first because it's probably got some fiber.
You're
Seems safe.
if you've not seen the movie Alive,
Oh yeah.
No.
What?
never. It's a true
Alive?
story. It's a soccer team.
Is it
that
the
crashed-
Dahmer? Is it the Dahmer?
No,
No,
it's the
team
soccer
crashed
team
on
that
the
crashed in
mountain
the
in the
Andes
Oh.
in the 70s, and they had to
I've
eat
not
that-
seen
that-
that.
Some
I didn't know about
some
it.
people
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
eat. So
And
we
you know what
did
they
the-
started
To the
with?
podcast.
You know what they started with?
My favorite
The calf.
murder has a podcast about it too.
Well, that's
That's
easy to
fantastic.
get to.
Or
Yeah,
no, maybe
it's
it's not.
good,
And
you
it's
know.
not my favorite murder.
yes, yeah.
I'm sure they
Slice it
probably
up, right?
talk
Like a
about
burn
it
it.
though.
Oh yeah.
They actually maybe too. I don't know.
Because if you're eating somebody, you probably murdered them.
I feel like we've never talked about cannibalism
The
on the show
mountain
before.
one.
No, we have not. So we
Hey, wait, here's the cannibalism.
There's the cannibalism.
yeah, it's too late. Too late. So we're gonna wrap this up. We're almost
Here's
2 hours
to
in. This is
Papua
dumb.
New Guinea.
We obviously need to do a second one with actual mics.
Oh,
and
yeah.
headphones.
We told you there was going to be probably a follow-up needed.
Oh, we are.
We started the podcast
We'll
with there's
talk you
going to be
under
a
the
follow-up.
No.
What? Is that a challenge?
This is short. We talked about. We were on a podcast. So last year we
Oh,
were
Jesus,
we were
Lonarchy.
nominated as best podcast in the pitch. We have no idea why.
They didn't tell us.
We didn't know.
They didn't tell us we were nominated.
The reason I found out there was another.
Maybe if we don't tell them, they won't show up.
So there's-
Like, fucking the pitch is stupid.
Yeah.
so.
I'll agree with that.
But anyway, the
That'll
pitch- I love the
definitely
pitch.
get you #1 podcast
Yeah.
from the pitch again.
Yeah.
Just calling them out.
Well, no, look, we're not going to win anyway because
Well,
the radio
no,
show guy's
no,
going to win every
no.
time.
We found out 2 weeks into the. Was that real?
Well done, sir.
Was that real?
That was real.
Wow.
My roommate in college called me G-Rex because of my burping
That
skills.
was amazing.
Yeah, that
You might get a
that might
award
be
for
the
that shit.
that might be the best in-show burp we've ever had.
Oh, that's absolutely. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of it. That was amazing. I thought he was
Got it,
faking.
Micah. You got one coming.
I'm working on it.
That's what she said.
Whoa.
Anyway,
Strong man stroking.
we were nominated as best podcast. The reason we found out, somebody came to Transparent. They were also nominated. So we laughed because it was 2 weeks left in voting. So we did like a podcast cuvee and went to their podcast. It was 3.5 hours. Mostly because there was Uncle Nearest involved and a lot of
Nice.
Like,
Okay.
but they had 3 beer
weed. And it's,
fridges.
and it's
We can do
on
one of those
YouTube.
podcasts.
Yeah.
3
It's
beer
on
fridges.
YouTube. It's called the Larnarchy.
And like halfway through, I realized there's an unopened bottle of Uncle Nick sitting in front of me.
Okay, well, I mean, take a
fuck,
look
it
at
was-
our whiskey selection, and we can get into some mezcal if you want. So,
Oh, I love me
you
some
got you
mezcal.
had me
We need to
you had
do
me at
this.
whiskey.
Okay,
You had
okay.
him at mezcal.
We're
we
going
need
to
to
wrap
do
this
a-
episode up, though.
well, we need
Where
to do
can they
a Monday
find-
podcast.
Heard.
Close on Mondays. We'll get
Anything
into our
goes.
bottles.
Anything goes.
We'll throw some weed in
What
the
time are
scenario.
we talking about?
I don't know, 2 to 9?
Okay.
Let's fucking go.
Sold.
Just give me a day.
2
I'll be
a.m.
like, I'll
to
tell
9 a.m.,
Diametric.
right?
I'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Hell of a
Yeah.
window.
I'll be like, Diametric, I can't work today. 'Cause that's my Monday job. Where can they find Stockyards on the socials? Tell the peoples. Someone.
At Stockyards Beer for everything, and our website is just stockyardsbrewing.com.
And at the airport.
And the airport, just walk on in and order a beer.
The unfortunate thing about the airport is you can't. Whoa.
Oh.
That was almost a spill on. I've never done that. I'm talking with my hands.
It's like it just
You
fell into your
can't
lap.
experience the full airport unless you buy a ticket.
That is true.
The only thing on the outside is the Dunkin' Donuts. Did you know that?
Dunkin' Donuts
We
and
knew
Mother
that.
Earth coffee.
And I'm
Ritual
not
side.
going to either one. So we need to buy a ticket to go hang out at the airport.
But we
Well,
road
another
trip
cheat
now.
code. You can buy. Yeah, all right. Micah's right. Yeah. We're not
That's
talking
a
about.
whole other podcast.
You know what?
Don't
We're
give
gonna
away
cheat
all the
codes episode.
secrets, Greg.
Cheat code after. Where can they find us, Nick?
You can get the Beers with Nigel podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps. We're on the beer Twitters,
On the Twitter.
on the Twitter at Beers with Nigel, the Instagrams, not the TikTok because we're old.
I don't want to fuck with TikTok.
The
That's
Book
too
of
much.
Faces.
Turns out
We're
All the
there.
faces.
Beers with Nigel.
What else? Alexa.
Oh yeah, hey. Do you own them Alexa devices?
Alexa,
Hey Alexa, play the Beers with Nigel
play that podcast with those two guys.
I think it will work for Siri as well.
What about your LinkedIn? Can we find your LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, I'm on
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn.
Absolutely. I
Don't look
get
up mine 'cause I
notifications.
need to
I was
update
like 3 times today.
As of like 15 years ago.
But if you love the beer tweeter, Nigel's your guy.
Oh, shout out to Brewview, Missouri.
And Brewview, Vermont, and
Coming soon.
Brewview, New Hampshire.
And shout out to Dire Oil Graphics. That's our main sponsor.
That's our sticker sponsor.
We have stickers. Did you bring any stickers?
I did bring stickers,
Hercules.
At least a couple.
and we're gonna pass them around here. People need stickers.
Oh,
sure.
and they're great stickers. So Nick, he was drinking bourbon.
A lot
or
of
whiskey?
bourbon.
And
A
he came
lot
up
of
with our logo. That's how the logo came about. It's the bourbon logo.
I
I like it.
Beer name, bourbon logo.
And after that, good night, folks.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
And love and respect to you all. Love you all.
I don't know, this glass is kind of weird.
You've been listening to Beers with Nigel, a show about beer and other stuff, hosted by Nigel Woodbury and that other guy, Nick Parker. Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, providing bumper-to-bumper graphic design, promo products, and print services. Find them at direoil.com. Beers with Nigel is a proud member of the Fredcast Network and is available on all of your favorite podcast flavors. Find Beers with Nigel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ask Alexa to play the Beers with Nigel podcast.